Hey, welcome to the Dirt with D. We have changed nights. It's now Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. Obviously, tonight's Wednesday night and it's 7 o'clock. Did that because a lot of guys are busy on Thursdays. It just seems like Wednesday made more sense, and it actually helps me out because that gives me one day off between doing this and being back in the bottle house. Anyway, so to go over a few quick things, this weekend at the bottle house, we have Blackwater Jack on Friday. If you like country, southern rock, man, these guys just kick ass. You're gonna love them every time they're there. Everybody tells me how great they are. And then Saturday night, we got the return of the Dirty White Boys. Russ and the boys are back to do it again. Also, I just want to let everybody know, Lexi actually posted something on the Bottle House Facebook page. It's about the pool tournament. She put a poll up. If you want it back, what day would be better, what time would be better. So go on there and answer it for her. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Mr. Bennett, Mr. Russ Bennett. If you don't know, Russ is the owner and patriarch of the Bottle House Bar. Let's bring him on here. There he is. Hey, Russ.
How we doing?
What's going on? What's going on? How you doing? Hot day today.
It is a little warm.
Oh, man, geez.
Warm right now.
I know. We were talking before. I'm just not used to it yet. I love the heat, but, man, when it comes on like in 3 days, shit. See, it was a little toasty today. So how you doing?
Or it's super hot, and then all of a sudden we have a day of cold, and then
Exactly. It screws up everything. Your system gets all whacked out. So I was telling everybody, you're kind of the mysterious guy in the, behind the scenes. You're the owner, the patriarch. You're the man that's responsible for the bottle house. And I tell everybody, if it weren't for you, we wouldn't have the bottle house. So you are the man.
That's partially true.
Well, it's,
You know,
let's face it. If it weren't for you, no, the bottle house wouldn't exist.
well, there was a certain sequence of events. There's always a little bit of luck involved.
Yeah, so let's discuss that. The inception right. and going back to the days, what's it been now? 10, 11 years?
We're right at 10.
Yeah. 10 years doing this.
Thinking about having some kind of 10-year bash or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I think it's awesome. I tell everybody, you were like me, used to have hair 10 years ago. I don't either.
10? No, man. I probably started losing the top portion of it around 23 or 24.
Well, I tell everybody, I part my hair in the middle, but the part's about 3 inches wide now.
The part's is wide. Yes, it's wide. Yeah,
yeah. Oh, well, that's why the good Lord made hats.
And then my previous career, so I did a career in the Marine Corps, so there was no reason to have hair anyway. So, and then after a while, you look a little ridiculous when you're trying to just hold on, and it's like, well, you just gotta own it, and then you find out that there's a certain segment, if you're a single guy of the female population, that hold baldness in high regard, and that it makes it easier on who to focus on.
There for a short time, I had my hair cut. It was clipped real short. I don't know. I just couldn't. I just didn't feel like it was me.
Got to do you.
Well, obviously, I grew up back.
Sometimes you just get sort of dictated to you, and that's what happened to me. So I just
well, it's been dictated to me. I just refuse to accept it. I grew up in the '80s, long hair. The hard rock, wearing spandex, and all the crap that we don't want to talk about in these as we get older. But so I kind of, it's kind of, I guess it's kind of like my security blanket. If I have a little bit of hair sticking out of my hat, it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, that's true. That's true. I mean, all those knots and scars and stuff are pretty visible when you don't
exactly. And then I don't get my neck doesn't get burnt.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's go back to when the inception of the bottle house, when you first started.
Inception. Man, where to start with that one? Yeah, so like I said, I did a little bit more than 24 years in the Marine Corps, and I was fortunate enough to come back here to MacDill, right over at Tampa, for what was maybe going to be my last duty station, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I got there and finished that up, and it was just one of those things where I kind of wanted to stay if I could have kept a particular job. The institution saw it differently, wanted to send me to school, and I just didn't want to do it. Didn't want to move. At that time I had my wife and I had a child, so it was like, well, I don't want to start that all over again. Moving around. I don't even know. I've tried to count one time how many times I've moved, and
I
when
bet you I'm right there with you.
yeah, when you're when you're single, who cares? But
Yeah. Yeah.
after a while, you accumulate a lot of stuff, and moving around gets tough on kids. So anyway, I just decided that we were just going to stick here, and 'cause my wife's family is from here, and I was born in Florida, so this is my home state. Um, I was just over in Polk County. I think Grady Judd was the sheriff when I left 20 when I joined the Marine Corps. I think he's been.
What?
I don't know. I know I'm exaggerating that, but
You're probably not. That tells you he's doing something right.
yeah. So anyway, I decided to go ahead and hang that up, and I was going to get into the bar business. While I was in, I always had like some side gigs, and when I was stationed out in this place in Southern California, I used to, you can imagine a time, it always sucks to be the person that, back in my day, everyone always, but literally when um, when I was in, some of the accounting methods used were just pen and paper.
Oh yeah.
Because there weren't, computers were not widespread. And so but I was in during that time when computers became available. And so I sort of developed this knack to, you know, create some systems and use some basic database structures to help account for things. And so anyway, there was this sports bar out in Southern California that, let's just say, I frequented regularly, and came to know the owner, and would hang out there, and I just kind of like helped him out with a couple of inventory tasks, showed him some things I was creating, for accounting for equipment in the Marine Corps, and then so he ended up using some of it, and that kind of over time turned into, well, there's this other guy over here on whatever street. He heard about how you measure kegs, and you mind going over and helping him out? So after a while, after 6 or 7 of these, it was like, well, I kind of discovered that, if you actually run a bar like a business and not, not partake in the product so much.
Exactly.
It's not a bad business, right? I mean, if but so anyway, I figured I'd give that a shot right when I got out. Mostly because I didn't. If I was going to get out, I wanted to make the clean cut from that life and not, not even take on a contracting job or anything like that. I want to do something completely different.
Yeah.
And so I was looking around probably 6 months before I actually retired, looking around, and there was a bar that was for sale. And about a month that I was going to get into, and about a month before pulling the trigger on that, they backed out and said, they just didn't want to sell at the time. And so I was like, well, okay. And so my father-in-law had a business that did like the jukeboxes, the dartboards, and the pool tables, and in bars and clubs, and like the VFWs, and he had a lot of those. And so he called me one day and he was like, hey, you still interested in getting in a bar? I just got a call from this lady. She told me to come pick my shit up. Oh, you can cuss on this?
Yeah.
Should ask that for you.
Yes.
Like, come get she said, I need you to come get your stuff. I'm gonna shut down. And he said, she sounds like she's just gonna roll out. If you want, I'll get you a meeting with her. I'll let her know before I come pick my stuff up. So that happened, and we basically had about 2 or 3 days to decide that she was going to sell the license off to someone down in Ruskin, I don't remember, and just walk. And so she was behind on the rent. I mean, it was a mess. Yeah. I mean, a mess all the way around, if you watch the movie Roadhouse, it's kind of like,
It's funny
so
that you mentioned that. I sit in there and drink my coffee. So you know what I get? Dalton's in the house.
oh man, I mean the references are
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
so we go ahead and decide to do it, and when you look back at it, it's like how foolish, but yeah, over time, and so it essentially happened so quick that uh, I wasn't even retired yet. I was still going to work on McDill, and that's where sort of the cot in the office came from. I mean, I just like slept there, I mean, it was pretty tough. I had no idea. The place was so bad, man. I mean, it. I remember that I had one night that I was able to go in there and look, and there was literally plywood across the entire front of the building, and it was painted black. Like you literally couldn't see in the building at all. And so you can imagine, how
Yeah, that kind of turns people
attractive
off.
that is
Yeah,
for,
that's a kind of a turnoff.
yeah. So the odds of opening the door and, you know, seeing any females in the place was like precisely zero. So there was, man, and I went in, I walked in there, and the back pool table, because it had 3 pool tables in it at the time. That's why I kept them that way, because that just seems to work there. And they were pretty much positioned in the same spot. There was a wall or something there. Some people might be listening that used to go there would totally remember this.
I hear it from people all the time.
And I'm not kidding you, man. There was a dude back there dropping cash and a bag of Coke, like right on the pool table. It wasn't even like, hey, man, weren't even trying. What didn't even try. That's how crazy it was. It was just in the open. And so anyway, it was too late. I was already kind of going down the road, and you just at some point just put your head down and like, I'm just got to go. And so over time, I finished up over there, and little by little, we would come in at like whenever it closed at 3 and get everything good done, and then open back up at 11, and did that for about a year and a half before anybody really started coming to it. It was, there'd be like 1 or 2 people in the bar like all day max. And so it was really, really difficult to even find someone willing to work there. And it's not like I could bartend, because I was already doing all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how it kind of started. And then over time, it just kept improving, and that sort of set the stage literally to get some better performers to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And once it did that, then I was able to convince a couple of really good bartenders to come over from Applebee's. One of which is still there, Jenna. And so, yeah. So, and then once one came and actually had some good bartenders that were, not that there weren't good bartenders there before. It's just different, it's an atmosphere.
Yeah.
Not that there weren't some bad bartenders before either. I'm not trying to sugarcoat that, but it's, but real, like a real bartender, like somebody who can make literally anything, or, the kind of bartender says, what you want? I don't know. Well, how about I just gin you up this, okay, that's cool. Yeah. So, and then once that sort of happened, then things improved. I won't say on their own, but it started to sort of have some energy of its own instead of just me pouring energy into it.
Well, you know, there's an old adage. It only takes a couple of months to get a bad reputation, but it takes a couple of years to improve it, to turn it back around. So, and you know, I know the place you're talking about. I was never there. I've been in Florida for what 13 years, so I never actually went there before it was the bottle house. But trust me, I've heard stories. I don't think it's the kind of place I would have wanted to go back in the day, but anyway.
No, no, you wouldn't.
No.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it was. It wasn't just you know the drug activity. I mean, it was nasty.
Hmm.
You know, I mean,
I mean, dirty nasty.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't. I have no idea how the health department hadn't already shut it down.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was pretty incredible. Um, and so, yeah, it just didn't even have a reputation. I mean, it did, but it wasn't one that
Yeah, it
anybody.
wasn't positive. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I've heard the stories. I'm
And
just, I'm happy.
it was a shame
changed.
too, man, because
Yeah.
even then, it was a good location.
Yeah.
You know, it's in a great spot for, uh, you know, back when there was a bar scene in Tampa. Unfortunately, that's kind of really taken a huge hit. But you know, at night we'd get people who lived over this way that sort of went downtown, and they'd make that location their stop just before they went home, just because you know they kind of leave downtown a little earlier, get there, and
Yeah.
then head home. So
Yeah.
it's
Hey,
a good location.
real quick, not to interrupt you, but I see a bunch of people popping on here, and I just want to put the word out to everybody. Hey, if you have any questions, pop them in, make a comment. I'll see them, and then we'll pass those on. But anyway, I'm sorry, Russ. Back to you.
No worries, man. No, I mean that was that. You know, from there, I mean, it's most people would probably remember that. You know, kind of how after once a bar actually got put in there, it didn't fall down and it didn't move. I'm not kidding. I mean,
Oh,
I'm not
said, I've heard.
exaggerating at all. So yeah, once that happened, then and you know, I mean, it just snowballs because you know if the place starts making a little money, then there's more money to put into it.
Hmm.
It's so it's and that's what we've always done. That is constantly finding ways to improve or put new stuff in, try to keep it as updated as possible.
I know. I started coming. I want to say about 7 years ago. Because when I first moved here, I kind of, I kept down here, worked. If I'd go anywhere, it was somewhere local. Because but then I started going there, and just in the time that I've been there, I mean, it's definitely the improvements have been. I mean, every year it's been improving and improving and improving. I mean,
Yeah.
staff, the
Yeah.
quality of music, the safe feeling that people get when they go in there. You know, one thing that I'm happy about and proud about is we don't really have any issues in the bottle house. I mean, occasionally it's a bar, there's alcohol. Occasionally
Bar.
something's gonna pop
Yeah.
up, but overall, you know, maybe 1 out of 20 weekends that I'm there, you might see some trouble. You know, usually we can rectify that fairly quick, but it's a place where people go and feel comfortable and don't feel like they have to watch their back all the time.
Yeah, and that's you know that's intentional as best as we can. I mean, that's not that you know that didn't happen by accident for sure. And it's tough to do. I mean, you're right. It's a bar. I mean,
Uh,
you're always
guess we
going to have
I'll pop this in here, see if you can see it. There's David Lee.
David.
Love David.
Oh man,
What's going
we were
on,
just
Mr.
talking about this
David?
guy today. You know,
Yeah, we were talking about you today, David. Anyway, I got to get in touch with you a little bit later. Anyway, keep watching, buddy.
man, he's
Yeah.
a hell of an entertainer, man.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Tell you what, and he's an energetic little fucker. So yeah, you can cuss on here at Facebook.
All right.
You know, I don't see how he keeps up with everything. But anyway, moving on from that. So over the course of the years, it changed. Obviously, you've modified the stage multiple times. We have, I know I was in there just about a year ago when we redid the stage again, dropped it down. Speaking of working overnight, yeah, I was in there in the wee hours of the morning redoing the
Yep.
stage.
You know what I'm
After
talking
you
about.
build it, and let me tell everybody, when Russ built something, I tell you what, the building could be gone if we had a hurricane, but that stage would have still been there.
Yeah,
You build stuff to stay.
yeah. I'm probably a little excessive, but you know, Yeah, I never want to demo my own work. That's for sure.
I know why you. I know why you called me now.
Yeah, I don't want to demo that. But
Misty just popped in there.
Misty,
Hey, Misty.
yeah, that but you can only do. It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter what you have the best equipment, the best location, best prices, and man, it really comes down to the person behind the wood.
It's the people.
And it,
Absolutely, it's the people.
you have to have that perfect mix of I'm not gonna put up with anybody's shit, but I'm also not gonna be I'm gonna be pleasant also.
Right.
Also, there's this double-sided thing. You gotta. That's a tough. It's a tough line to ride.
Trust me,
I know it's difficult.
It's very difficult. But you know what? My theory is if we can resolve an issue before it becomes an issue, we're ahead of the game. And for the most part, man, I kind of, I see what's going on in there, and I can usually tell. I know somebody's going to be trouble. 9 times out of 10, if they start getting a little bit rowdy, I'll go over, hey, man, we want you to have a good time. And if somebody's with them, hey, do me a favor. Help me police your crowd. We want you guys here. Let's just, keep it within the limits. And 99% of the time, they're very respectful of that. So, I think it's all the way you talk to them and approach them.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, that's 100%. Yeah. I mean, like, I think I mentioned it to you, but I did, security, bouncer. I mean, I hate that term. Think about it, but call it security for multiple bars over the years as a night gig. And yeah, there was this one place called the Thunderbird.
It even sounds rough. Sounds rough.
Not a strip club. But yeah, it was, it's one of those, it's like, what I was really going to say is it's sort of the same place kind of transforms over the course of the night to like sort of the personality of the place sort of transfers. Like, so like say Bottle House, for example, like by day, little bit cheersy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's some dudes down the corner, like, jawing each other, and there's always something kind of ridiculous going on. And then, and then, sort of towards the evening, in particular on the weekends, it starts to kind of, people kind of come in and kind of get ready to look. Some people don't know there's going to be a band, literally don't know.
They're like, doing it for multiple years, but they still don't know.
Yeah. And they're like, what's happening? And then of course there's the people's like, when's the band's going to start? They hear that one. And then after a while, if the energy's right, people start having a good time. And then, hopefully that energy stays positive. Now it's when you have one or two that for whatever reason, they're having a bad time of it and they want to bring it in there. And
and it's inevitable. It's going to happen. But you know what? When it does happen, we just try to deal with it in the most mature way possible. And that's
right. But I guess that was my point is, you have dealing with it up front and in a respectful way is the best course of action. Because that's the thing that I noticed about when I was security in places is the security guy gives a couple of guys that want to get after each other an excuse to keep doing it, really.
Yeah,
it's not really a positive thing in my view, because it's like, the proverbial or the old school, like, well, if this guy wasn't here, I'd kick your ass, this silliness.
Yeah.
If there's nobody standing between you, then people don't jaw as much because it might happen. So yeah, it does start with it starts with making sure that if somebody's kind of a little bouncy, the staff needs to keep an eye on like how much we're giving him. He might not be the guy you ain't got to leave forever, man, but just maybe tonight you go ahead and take a rest and we'll see you tomorrow or something.
Well, we were talking before. Last thing I want to do is bar somebody. We lose 100%. Money. We lose a customer. We don't want to lose a customer. I want everybody in there happy and enjoying themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, there are times where we do have to say, I think you've had enough. Maybe just here, drink some water. And, I'd say 85% of the time, people listen. There's always that 15%. I'm fine.
Yeah.
And, and then you kind of, well, maybe you're not. Just, do me a favor. Just, hell, I'll buy you water. Let me go get you water. Like I said, it's good people that come in there. We were talking today. People ask me, well, you don't have security there. Well, yeah, we do. We have security. I'm there. The guys behind the bar are there. Rob's there. Whenever Adam's there, I feel like I got Superman behind me. If he comes over the bar.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
I know he's got my back. And he
That's what I
has
mean.
the same opinion I do and the same mentality.
Not going to be people walking around with security written on the shirt with earpieces and, come on, man. Like that's, I get it. In some places you got to have that, I suppose, but
we don't need that. And I'll be honest, 99.9% of the bands, if anything happens, they got our back. But the good thing is it doesn't happen. Or it's very, very, very rare that anything does happen. Like I said, ultimately it's a bar and there's alcohol involved. And, the machismo thing kicks in when there's some alcohol involved. But like I said, it's so rare.
You know what? They actually come in threes.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go months without anything. and then there'll be one week. And then sometimes there'll be one Friday, one Saturday, and then one Tuesday or something. It's like, yeah, it's like, come on. So we're all, anytime there's been two real in rapid succession, the third one, we're like, come on, let's just get this third one over with.
Exactly.
We can get our 6-month run going.
I tell you what, though, it's not the guys that scare me, it's the girls. They get feisty. I'm like, oh, calm down there, sweetheart. I'm not going to brawl with you. But like I said, it's, and if worse comes to worse, I'm going to sick Jenna on them. Last thing they want is Jenna. She's a little pit bull. If I call Jenna, you're in trouble. Actually, we'll talk about that. I love
proves
Jenna.
Your point even more. The ladies are always better at, man, if you're going to bow up at a late,
Well, once you get a little bit older, you get up to our age, you realize it's not worth it. I'd rather talk myself out of something. Yeah, I'd rather talk myself out of it. And like I said, I think typically if you treat people with respect and talk to them, not yell at them and go after them, just talk to them, most of them calm down. Like I said, I haven't had any problems, and I always, after I do my video thing, I try to walk through and talk to people and say hi and, get their opinion, see how their night's going. And I've always asked everybody, hey, you got any recommendations? Anybody you want to see? I think if we include, and we do have a core group of regulars that are in there that are just good people.
I was just going to bring that up, man, actually, because since we're just talking about what makes a bar a good bar, for sure, getting the good bartenders was huge. Like convincing them, okay, not right now, but we're on the verge of this being a place where you can actually make some money. But I kind of can't get there unless, we move this needle. And so, man, I lobbied hard, and, but once we got that started, there is this other component, and you brought it up as like regular. Most people know it as regular, and that's true. I have this. I think there's another category, and I call it like I call them like furniture. Like,
we mentioned some names.
Regular is 3. I don't know. I don't want to put a number on it, but 3-4 times a week you see the guy.
And then we got the Steves and Carrie and
Steve comes to mind, right?
And love Steve, love those guys.
Their whole group, yeah. So Steve was one of the guys that started coming, like when it was still Proud Pony, which I actually know the story behind that name, from the lady that opened the place. But this is my point. These guys are there all the time. They in particular during the day create the personality of the bar.
Yeah.
So the one thing that's, and go look at, I'll give you a perfect example. Go look at any VFW, pretty much any of them in the country, and look at what's happening to them at the Legions and all. They're dying.
Yeah.
How, and I ask yourself a question: how is a private organization that doesn't pay some level of tax gets a different deal on just about everything?
Yeah.
Has private membership that they get to charge people. They have a national association behind them, and the number of veterans over the past 20 years has done nothing but go up like exponentially.
I know.
How is your business not booming? And I can tell you how it is, man. They're not welcoming.
Mm-hmm. Right.
See, if you walk into Bottle House during the day and you at this your first time, somebody like Steve or those guys, and they're sitting over there they'll be like, "Hey, man,
Absolutely.
what brought you in here?" You know, they're just kind of curious. They're just good dudes. They just want to hang out and drink some beer and bullshit with people.
Well, and people like that have a vested interest in the place too, because it's their home. It's cheers to them. You know, it's cheers. You know, it's their home. That's where they go. They want to see it be successful.
And sometimes somebody will say, "Well, it seems like, you know, a regular or something might get a little special treatment." Well, yeah, that's kind of how it works. I mean, this is human nature anyway. So those VFWs, those old guys were, you know, come in here, Sonny, let me sit you down and tell you what it was like when we only had one battery for a radio instead of two, or we didn't even have SATCOM, and whatever kind of garbage they want to spew. Nobody's going to go participate in that. But when you walk into a place where you're a stranger, maybe you just moved to town, this is the first time you're just looking for a bar to go hang out at, and the guys that are always there are like, "Hey, bro, why don't you come over here and have one with us?"
Hell, they'll invite them out to play golf next day.
Yeah. And then inside of 30 minutes or an hour, they're all talking shit to him or whatever. Like, you know, and it's just, you know, so you have to have that too, man. You can't, and sometimes that's tough, right? If you have some people, even if they're regular and they for whatever reason kind of don't hold up to that and they start being a menace, you know, that's tough. Sometimes you have to even say, "Hey, man, you know, you gotta turn it down a little bit. I know you come here a lot, but
there have been a few of those instances.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not very often. I mean, we have our daytime regulars, obviously, and then we have the weekend regulars that come in for the bands. And you know, I could go in there any given weekend. Okay, so and so is going to be here. So and so is going to be here. So and so is going to be here. Just because they're going to come. It doesn't matter if it's rock, if it's country. Doesn't matter what kind of music is. They're going to be there because they appreciate the live music and what goes into it, what we have to put into it. I have people all the time coming up, "Man, we really appreciate you guys bringing in these bands." So it's damn light keeps going down. So yeah, they appreciate it, and the ones that want to be treated like a regular, well, it's very simple: become a regular. When we see you all the time, we're going to walk up to you. Hey, Jim, what's going on? You know, we're going to treat you that way. Everybody gets treated very well.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I mean, I know the staff in there treats everybody well. You know, you go up to a bar, you know, they're going to treat you just like the guy that's been sitting there for 3 hours. "Hey, what can I get you?" And they're going to take good care of you.
They're awesome.
They do get busy sometimes, and I know people get upset when, "Well, I've been waiting for 10 minutes for a drink," and on a busy night, I'm saying, "You know what? Just be patient with us. You know, we're pretty packed in here, so you're just going to have to be just a little bit patient. You're going to get taken care of. Don't worry."
Right. Yeah. You know, there is, you know, and you'll really see it if, you know, some of those times where we've had shows where like everybody wants to come to it.
Oh yeah.
So that's great. And believe me, I like that too. But it's also a little bit of a negative sometimes because I know we all know there's only so much you can put over the wood at any, it doesn't matter. And we got rock star bartenders, man.
Oh yeah.
Like not only we have rock star bartenders, but the arrangement at Bottle House is the server is their own bartender. Like so they don't have to wait on, they go back, make whatever was ordered and bring it back.
Yeah.
So we, on the weekends, there's basically three people constantly making, and it's just all we have room for, right? I mean, it's just nothing for the room. So, but that's an issue um, with the level of bands we are able to bring in. Meaning, there's some bands I'd love to have in there that we're just never going to be able to afford to have them,
Right.
unless we sold tickets
Yeah.
that at least paid for um, the fee that the band
Mm-hmm.
charge. And we
What?
tried that a couple of times, man, and
I
it just
know.
has not worked. It's
They
I
won't
don't.
pay $5 to get in, but they'll spend $50 on booze. All right.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
with a lot of people, it's more the principle. Why am I going to pay?
I
Well,
know.
if you want this level of entertainment, then we only have so much money to spend. I mean,
Right.
it's not just an open checkbook. Here, just go out and get whatever band you can. I mean, we try to keep it within a certain level, and we got to convince a lot of the bands because we provide the sound and lighting. Basically, the bottle house is plug and play. They come in,
Mhm.
set up their gear, and everything is taken care of. I mean, Rick and Veronica, they mic everything up. They take care of everything. You come in, set up, and play. Don't have to worry about
Which I
sound.
really like, man. We've always set out to do that
Yeah.
because to me, man, I used to watch those guys loading all that stuff in
Oh,
and
yeah.
out.
I did it
I
for
was
many
like, this
years.
just doesn't make any sense, man.
Hmm.
Why don't we just keep one system in place and and save them from all of that? And then there was this expectation that if we saved the band a lot of trouble with that we'd get a little bit better rate than a place they would go play where they have to actually load in and out and pay a sound guy
Yeah, yeah.
and and that has worked for a while, but every now and again I think that's kind of what is plug and play. Essentially, it is a little bit forgotten about, and we
Yeah.
just have to.
And I have to remind them every now and then.
Yeah.
When they
It's
hit me
just
for
the
this,
way
look,
it
if you
is.
go somewhere else, you're going to pay, let's put a midline number on it. You're going to pay $300 for sound. All right.
Yeah,
We're
I
saving
would
you
say
that.
minimum. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of average now. I'd say between 250 and 350. That's kind of probably average for a full night of sound production and lighting. So there, it's all there.
really.
We got one of the nicest stages and light shows in the area. And that's not
Man,
coming from me.
250
That's
sounds
coming
cheap to
from,
me.
yeah.
I'm talking about for a sound guy. That sounds cheap, like to
Yeah.
me. Man, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that publicly. I don't know. Man,
Well, I put a
but
range
that's
in
a
there.
lot of work, man. Because I
It
remember,
is.
man, rest in peace, Steve Lesky.
Steve, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I remember I would go to, because I would go to shows and just to see other bands and try to just learn
Hmm.
everything I could, and man, I would see the work that went into loading all that stuff out of a trailer, set it up, tune it up, all the Rick, don't yell at me because I don't know the technical term, but you know what I'm saying. Get it prepped and then tear it all down
Oh,
at the
no.
end of the night while
Yeah.
everybody else is trying to get out of the bar. This guy's trying to get his stuff together.
Well, and
Man,
even now, it's getting better, but still, I mean, back in the 80s and 90s when I was playing, we'd pull in with a 21-foot truck, jam packed full of equipment because everything was massive.
yeah,
Yeah, we had big 32 channel boards. Our PA each side of the stage was 12 foot, 8 foot tall. And it was just, yeah, I mean, things have gotten smaller and better, but still, they're the first ones in, the last ones out. And yeah, I mean, they deserve to make a decent,
yeah.
it's their
Yeah,
equipment.
it's
They've
heavy
got a
lifting,
big
man.
investment. I mean, yourself, the equipment is not inexpensive at all. I mean, you're going to
Uh,
spend thousands and thousands of dollars for a nice system.
I would say there's 40 grand sitting on that
Oh, yeah.
stage
Oh, yeah.
easily.
Yep. Yep. And I know people get upset when they put drinks on top of the speakers. If one of them those spills, man, you got to understand.
Uh, love you,
Yeah.
Rick. Oh
Yeah. We
man,
all give Rick a hard time, but you know what? I tell you what, Rick, he does his job and does it well. I'd say he's one of the best in the
man, he
area at
is.
what he
He's
does.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that is that's the other component, man. Is that then you get the good bands, but
Mhm.
but again, if an out of town band will, even if we get a stopover, or something, if they want 2 grand, like we can't do
Oh,
it.
I know. I know.
Like,
Yeah.
and believe me, there are nights throughout the year that Bottle House regularly takes a little bit of a hit. Like on
Oh,
on
yeah.
the day, it doesn't make any money
Hmm.
because we intentionally would bring in some of the bigger something big like they got put together, and just said, "Hey, look, this is the way I kind of viewed that was, hey, look, as long as we don't go ridiculous, like lose a whole bunch, and it's a big turnout, then we'll have some people that we're just trying to remind them that we're there, you know." But you can only do that a couple of times a year, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, people have to look at, you know, the capacity is only so much. You have to turn a lot of money over top of that bar to pay the band.
Right.
You know, the band doesn't produce income. I mean, in a way they do by bringing the people in, but they're not an income producer like selling drinks. Yeah, you're not selling. I mean, you're selling the band to bring the people in, but they're not actually making you physical money.
Right.
I mean, they are when they put asses in the seats. But yeah, we have to rely on them to put asses in the seats, and the ones that don't put asses in the seats, well, guess what? We've talked about this. Some of them just don't. I mean, there's some great bands that come through there, and some of them just for some reason don't know what it is. I can't figure it out. They don't bring in the crowd, and you know, it gets to the point where we have to say, okay, well, you know, not your fault, but for some reason you're not producing, and we have to bring bands in here to put people in the seats because, you know, if there's 50 people in there, we're paying for a band, we're paying for the staff, paying for lights, electric, and everything else that goes with it. There's a loss there.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. If it's ran properly and you got some people helping, it's good business. But it's not the cash cow people.
You're not going to become a millionaire owning a bar. No.
No. That, I mean, if it's like something like Sloppy Joe's or, or some destination. Yeah. Of destinations Florida has, but a place like Bottle House, it's solid, but it still requires, quite a bit of love to keep it humming along. And, all it does is, take some kind of crazy, we have hurricanes, wow. we have things that tend to shut businesses down for, I don't know, 6 months.
Yeah. Well, just last year, I mean, it wasn't devastating, but you lost some. Yeah, there was some downtime with the hurricane last year. And power, no power. Can't run a bar if you don't have any power.
Yep. And I've explored every option possible to get us on back up to where we can be the place that stays open. Just don't,
Well, you're pretty good about getting it open as soon as possible.
Yeah.
As soon as it's viable, you're definitely, hey, we're open, we're ready to go. I mean, it's
well, we have staff that don't mess around either. Like if they're like, hey, do we have power? I'll come in and work. Mm-hmm. Almost every time. We rarely have anybody that, and the only time we have to be a little bit careful too, because people leave there late, and you have to consider water on the road and
exactly
stuff. Or
power outages, lights out. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's a responsibility that we all have to take on as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. But you were talking about, the bands. I get bands that come in there. Hey, we were over at I'll just say Jimmy B's. Man, the crowd was great. Well, they have a built-in crowd.
Yeah, right.
They're on the beach.
They don't have to work
the weekenders. Right? Yeah, no, they're going to be there. They're going to be there if you're not there. They're just going to be there.
The beach bars don't have to work for it, but they do have to pay for it.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want to pay if they're renting those places.
I don't even want to think of the number.
So they got to turn too. They have with their advantage comes some disadvantages too.
Yeah, there's no 100% fail-safe plan in this business, none whatsoever. No. There's not. I mean, there's so many things, like I said, the weather, the economy, local talent. We do get some vacationers in there. It's sporadic. It's mainly the locals. We're a locals bar.
Yep.
Occasionally they come in. I talk to people every now and then. Hey, we're in town from blah blah blah, and it's hey, welcome. Enjoy yourself. Wish I could tell you to come back next weekend, but you're not going to be here. So, like I said, we try to do we cater to the locals? Yeah, they're our bread and butter. Do we cater to the regulars? I mean, yes. I mean, I think we treat everybody pretty much the same.
Pretty much,
but them, walk around. Hey, Steve, what's going on? Always bring Steve up because fact, when he gets there after me, I give him hell because he's late. You're running late there, son. And I catch hell if I come in his air and I don't come over and say hi to him.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't want to make it come off as special treatment. That's not really what I meant.
Right.
But it, like who doesn't know Ed?
Yeah.
Like Thursday. Like I don't know, how did that guy not end up being like a DJ, a late night DJ, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's got a pretty bombastic voice. So everybody knows him. I mean, it's just that kind of thing. So, but even the folks you only see, a couple times a month, it's still, bar is a unique place, man. It's kind of a, people. I think we're on. Pretty sure it's 5 marriages now. I think there's been 5 people married that met Bottle House. I'm sure we're on some divorces.
Oh yeah, I think the numbers might be higher there.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, I a lot of business gets conducted in a bar, for sure.
Yes, it does.
Lots of contracts get signed, agreements get made, and people solve problems there. So it's a unique environment. When it's just when it's managed properly, not just by the people that work and own it, but the people that go there regularly. It's just it all has to work like sort of together. As quirky as that sounds, but it's kind of true.
Yeah, and you're lucky. We're lucky, whatever the case may be. We do have some rock stars there. We were talking about the staff. I mean, they're all great. They've all been there for a while. I know we lost a few recently. I mean, one of them moved away. We couldn't control that.
No.
There is a certain amount of turnover in this, but the core. I mean, you said yourself, Jenna was there. I mean, you basically acquired her from the old bar, so she's been there for 10 plus years at least. We know that. Misty, she's been there forever.
Yeah, no, Jenna's probably at 9.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, that. I mean, I love that.
Yeah, and Lexi. I mean, Lexi's been there she's been there ever since I remember.
Yeah, she's right at 7, probably a little more.
Yeah, I know Kim's been there for probably going on a couple, 2-3 years now.
The majority of people that have left, the vast majority, is because they moved or just moved on to a different profession altogether.
Yeah. Misty just said, me and Jenna are 2017, blah, 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 whatever. I told Misty, she's from New England. I understand like every third word.
Oh, I just saw some of these. So these are, okay.
Yeah, that was Annette.
See. Sheila.
I think it's great. The Bottle House remains open during
the
hurricanes.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
Smoke free. Maybe I guess I'm not sure there's too much to say there, except I'm sure most people are like, why did it take so long, Russ? What the hell's wrong with you?
No, we talked about that today. People ask me that all the time. Well, you were talking about it back in, you guys were talking about it originally in October. I said, yes. Then we had back-to-back hurricanes. Well, that kind of puts things on hold. Then we had the holidays. And people don't understand. You don't just, okay, this weekend we're smoke-free. Bam, here it is. No, there was planning that had to be involved in that. You had to shut down and do a bunch of work in there before you open back up with it smoke-free. So it
of course.
Snap your fingers.
Think about the absolute last thing I wanted to do was finally get rid of smoking, close down, clean up, and then one person walk in and go, it still smells like smoke in here.
Yeah.
Man, I wasn't going to have that. I'm sure we had one, right? I'm sure it was one.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't hear that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like every ceiling tile, well, I would say 98% of the ceiling tiles in there are all brand new. So that had to be done. The ductwork had to be cleaned and, sanitized. Every coil in every AC unit was pulled out and, completely not descaled, but you know how they use a compound on it. It just breaks everything off the fins. There's not a square inch that wasn't either painted or something happened to it that, cleaned it, and then covered it.
Mm-hmm.
So, that took. We did it in 4 days. It actually went pretty well.
Yeah. Well, I had people come in afterward. Well, what'd you do? I said, you know what? You're not seeing everything. A lot of this stuff you're not seeing. I mean, a lot of it's visible. You just don't notice it. But a lot of it, like you said, the deep cleaning and stuff that you have to do kind of behind the scenes. There's a lot that goes into that. So I was actually happy that you didn't decide just to, bam, we're smoke free. Because like you said, you walk in there, it still smells like smoke. You got to get that out there. I mean, even simple things, building the horse racks out front. Yeah, that's got to be done because you have to have a place for people to go and make them comfortable when they want to go outside and smoke.
And that's just our only option. I know it's not perfect, but there's no other option. And then, there's, speaking of horse racks, you just reminded me about the reason why the previous place was named Proud Pony. I met after I got in there, it's probably about 1.5 years, 2 years in, the lady that opened it with her husband, they moved down from Ohio. And they told me that, of course, all of Gornto Lake was cattle and farming when that building was built in the 80s. And they had horse racks out front because cowboys used to, come up on horses, tie off, come inside and get some beer, and then get back on their horse and go back to cowboying or whatever, right? But she said they named it Proud Pony because that was her husband's lucky racehorse. They used to go watch horse racing together, and then so that's the story behind that. It's not Pink Pony. It wasn't a strip club. All the other myths and fables. But that's the true story.
Well, yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Before I came here, I was in Payson, Arizona. Payson, Arizona's claim to fame is we had the world's longest continuous rodeo.
Really?
It was Payson, Arizona's claim to fame. Yeah, it was kind of right in the middle of Arizona, 5,000 feet. It's a cowboy town. Of course, it's changed over the years, but it's cowboy town. Yeah, like I said, we had the reservation right outside of town, of course, with the casino. We had a huge, huge rodeo ground. I mean, that was the thing. We had a massive rodeo once a year, and people would come in from all over the place, all over the western half of the state. Yeah, it was a big thing there. Population would go up by about 5,000 people when the rodeo hit.
Yeah. Yeah. So that always does something to a town, doesn't it?
Yeah. Every town has this little thing.
Yeah.
This area is kind of unique because it's multiple little boroughs. But, the overall the Tampa region, yes, we're known for our beaches in St. Pete and so on and so forth, but there's so much more that happens in Tampa. I mean, we've got, obviously, hell, this week they have the championships going on, the college championships, NCAA championships going on. There's always something going on around here. I mean, this area is kind of it's a destination.
It's active for sure.
Yeah.
I tell you, it is, man, but the music scene and in particular, bars that at least have music on occasion, it has taken a hit over the past year, though. I mean, I don't know the true story, but I just assume that there's a lot of what was happening downtown is somebody kind of front running the development of maybe if the stadium was coming in, and so I know. I won't mention the name just because this is public. I mean, maybe he doesn't care, but I just know this one, the owner of a well-known bar in that area that does only music, and they don't even do cover music. Hopefully, I didn't give it away too much. Nah. But so anyway, he his landlord came to him a couple of years ago, and was like, and they had a good relationship. And he just said, look, this offer I'm getting, I'll give you the chance to match it, but I have to take this. Like, I can't pass this up. I mean, the offer is just too good. Mm-hmm. So he had a year to get out. I mean, and the guy, felt bad. And turns out that his landlord, when he did sell, did help him move to another place. So they had an arrangement. They worked it out. So it wasn't like he left them hanging like I'm positive my landlord would do. But
Nah, well, you pay the rent every month, so he's happy.
yeah, they don't.
They might not do anything else.
I'll keep that to myself right now.
Yeah, exactly.
we pay it, man. But so anyway, that and I think what I just read this week that or was it last week that the Boneyard's is only gonna stay open for another year.
Really?
It's like, damn, man. I mean, these are staples of our area.
It's more people to come to the Bottle House.
Yeah. Yeah, but to your point though, if we don't have enough venues, then our musicians start to kind of dry up a little bit too, or they look for other cities where it's more vibrant for them.
Right.
If they're I don't want to say more serious about it, but if they're looking to do that as a total profession, you have to go to a target rich environment if you're going to do something.
So you and I were talking about this today. I support local venues and local musicians. And we have to support, even though the other bars around, quote unquote, they're the competition. Well, if they fall by the wayside, then the musicians fall by the wayside and there's nobody left to play. So we have to kind of support each other. We have to support the musicians or the other bars around town. I don't want to say competition because it's not really competition.
No,
we can't, if all the other bars closed down, everybody came to the Bottle House, there'd be a line a mile long outside. We can only support so much. So that's one of the reasons I want to start this, kind of to support the local music, the music scene, the local industry. Not just, obviously this is my alliance is towards the Bottle House and, I want everything to go well there. But like I said, if the other bars around town, I don't want to mention any of them, but if they fall by the wayside, then musicians, well, we don't have any place left to play. They start going to other areas and then we can't get them in. So it's important.
It's not enough. Right.
It's important to support that community.
Actually, no, I don't view it as competition at all. In fact, if because I've, been to so many different places.
Me too.
One thing you'll notice about any kind of bar scene is a lot of them that are close together do better. Like in our particular area, up and down, call it Bloomingdale and up and down 301, we'd be better served if we had more.
Yeah.
Actually, because, the thing, we're far enough apart that, you kind of, who comes in for the night, for the most part, they're going to stay there and then go home. You don't get this hopping effect,
it's not like Ybor, where you can bounce bar to bar.
Yeah. Bounce. Yeah. That won't happen here. Right. And so that changes the dynamic a little bit. And so, no, it's not, I don't view it as competition at all. Right. In fact, I want them all to do well.
Yeah.
And the same thing with musicians. I have tremendous respect for people that get up on the stage and, to play an instrument anyway is one thing.
Yeah.
I've tried to tap some drums before, man. That's not easy.
Well, I got my wall art back here. It's about all.
I dream about trying to do that, but I just don't have time. But but then to get up in front of people and do it, and then get up in front of people on the regular, and that becomes like a whole other job for these.
Oh yeah,
these guys, man.
You're opening yourself up to ridicule because let's face it, you can be the best man in the world. There's always going to be that one guy. They suck. Yeah, it just happens. So we were talking about this today. I respect anybody that can get up on stage. They're getting up there to entertain you. They're putting it all out there. Are they going to be perfect every song? No, there's not a band in the world that's going to nail every song. But, overall, we've got some great musicians in this area. Some great people. And like I said, they come to entertain you guys.
A band, even the band that wrote and tour and play their own music aren't perfect. I'm a huge concert goer. I think I don't know very many concerts or very many bands that I have not seen. It used to be my thing. It still is to some extent. It's just, there's not really a lot out there that.
Yeah.
I did take my daughter to see Taylor Swift.
All right. Give me your man card. Man card.
I think, well, here's the thing, man. Yeah, I've heard that a bunch of times. Well, first of all, I think my man resume is long enough. I can take it, but more
You can do
to
the tea parties.
I don't have this. I don't have this issue. But man, let me put it to you like this: going to a Taylor Swift concert with your daughter, uh, man, there's a lot of women there that
Oh, yeah.
there's not a lot. It's well, we'll just leave it at that.
You're a minority there, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, put yourself in a situation where you're the
Well,
you're
you don't
one
have
out
to.
of 50,000, not 50,000, but one out of 5,000 for sure, or one out of 2 or 3,000, something like that. Yeah.
Doing that with your daughter, that's kind of a rite of passage. Yeah, you got to
For
do
sure.
that stuff with the
Hey,
daughter.
and look, man, like in terms of, I'll probably take a hit for this one, but I have to say it. It's true. I mean, she is a good performer. I mean, an entertainer.
Yeah, she's
You
an
know what I mean?
entertainer, exactly.
You can't doubt that. I mean,
Mhm.
when I look at the whole production and what goes on and what
Oh,
all
yeah.
of those people put together, it's because you know what's going on to some extent back there under the stage, behind the stage.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a lot.
Well, I know because I've kind of been involved in that in the past. Not to that level by any stretch of the imagination, but some bigger venues. Yeah, a lot goes into that. And you were saying, like you said, entertainer. And I tell the guys when they come in, I talk to them. You're not a band, you're not a singer, you're an entertainer. You're here to entertain, and that means crowd involvement. Get the crowd involved. Yeah, make them like you. Just be yourself. If you get up there and you be yourself, you're going to do fine. Get the people involved. Get them up there dancing. Hell, screw with them a little bit. Go out and pick on them. It doesn't.
I know people love it, man.
Yeah,
they love it.
Yeah, and the bands that do that are the bands that are successful. They're the ones that have the following that keep coming to see them. Yeah, we were talking, Tim in there last weekend with Generation X. Tim's an entertainer. He's bouncing around. He's the only guy around that can stand on the bar and not hit his head.
Well, he does have an advantage, right? Yeah, Tim.
Yeah, Tim's a great guy, and he wants to entertain. He's one of those guys. I want to entertain these people. And, I appreciate that. We were talking again. Center. In fact, Todd was on here. In fact, Todd Pat.
Is he?
Posted this up. Yeah, he's on here. Love Todd. Those guys are entertainers.
Oh, that's just I saw something pop up on your screen.
No, I just popped it up
there.
there.
It is. Okay.
I can pop that. I got control. I can pop that stuff up there.
What else is
David
on there real quick?
well, Misty.
While we're at it. Oh, so change the sign. Like, you know what? Yeah.
Jay. That's Jay. Just ignore Jay.
Tyler Hill. If you're listening to this, where is the sign, man? That's a great question.
So there you go, Jay.
Done already. Like, what's up? I need to follow up on that.
Jay's another guy. He's like a brother, but he's another one.
Right.
I understand like every third word because he's from the Bronx.
Yeah. I mean, it does look like shit.
Yeah. So now Jay, we're working on it.
Remains during the hurricanes. If Bottle House can be open, it will be open.
Yeah.
That's just a theme that we have.
Yep.
And now that does not mean that, I would never force anybody to like literally come into work. They're like, I don't think I want to drive in this. Okay, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But if the lights are on and we can function in any way.
If there's one person in there, they can sling drinks. Yeah.
That's
as long as they can open the door and turn everything on,
yeah,
they can sling a drink. Now, not me, because I'd say, well, if you want anything besides beer, you're screwed. I can do rum and Coke. Might be a little bit on the strong side.
Yeah. Yeah, the few times that I had to bartend in the beginning, man, it was rough.
Yeah, it's not my forte.
Yeah.
No,
it's not either. And that's another thing. It's just like a musician. That's why I hold them in high regard, man. I know how difficult that job is.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when it's busy and you're trying to get it all done. And so, yeah, it's, and it can be kind of tough, but
yeah.
to also be professional, just like you, like we're saying with these bands. But yeah, back to the point I was going to make on like what a band sounds like is I've been to a lot of concerts, and I don't remember one concert where the band sounded just like whatever medium of music I listened to them on. That was, how we were talking about like production versus performance. You
I
know,
can only mention
the
one.
album's perfect. It's been it. You don't go to a studio and record music.
Right, right.
A studio edits music.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
you know. I mean, you know where I really learned this too is Gary
Hmm.
Shutt. So a lot of people didn't know this, I don't think, about him, but he would when he would do like I think he even did it with his trio, but he certainly did it when he had performed solo. Is or when he did his duo. I'm trying to remember. But anyway, he the tracks that he was playing while he was singing and actually playing, uh, like he had recorded those
Yeah, well,
tracks
that's him.
prior to
Yeah.
going to the bar. Like
Hmm.
so, it was him performing the music. He was just putting it on the pedal so it hit when
Yeah.
it was supposed to, or whatever. However, that's done. I think I don't. Gary
Well, and
don't.
Gary is just
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
just a multifaceted musician. He
Right,
plays
right.
everything. When he was on here, I said, "Yeah, is there anything you don't play?" I was thinking, like oboe or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He
I
said, "Well,
mean,
there's a few
really.
things I haven't tried, but
Yeah. So
but yeah,
you realize like the different levels of when the actual the music that you hear came together. You
yeah,
know,
you can
it's
definitely tell a difference in production of music now versus the 70s or 80s. There's
yeah,
a completely different way of doing it. I mean, now you got a guitar player that sits in his studio at home and puts everything on Pro Tracks, sends it to the drummer. They lay their tracks. They send it off to a producer. Then he mixes everything. Bands aren't even in studio anymore. They're doing everything from their mobile or their home studios. Back in the old days, we were in there all playing together, cutting tape with the razor blade. Cutting tape, doing it the old way. Now it's cut and paste. So yeah, things have come. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I'm not old, but it was. It wasn't until I'd say the late '90s, early 2000s that really became more popular with the.
Ye-
I mean, technology's come so damn far. Let's face it.
Yeah, and also just consider too the how the music is being delivered to you
Yeah.
in that uh you know when I was a kid, you had dog ears and you had to go up and turn the TV. Compare that to a 4K
Yeah.
TV that's hanging on your wall now.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the
You can
just the
talk to your
delivery
remote.
mechanism alone is
Yeah.
so much better. You're going to hear
Absolutely.
more. You're going to, I mean, it's so there's just more to consume, and
I
so
think
to
that's a
sort of
it's
hold
a
that same standard, it seems.
it's good and it's bad. It's a plus and a curse because so much music is out there now. I mean, when's the last time you bought a CD? No, I remember going to a record store when I was a kid, and that was fun. We
Yeah,
go in there and zip through everything, looking for stuff. Now you go on and download it. I mean, and I can understand some of the bands. They're not making the money that they used to off of this stuff because everything is basically it's a free for all now. It's on
man, I'll be honest.
Spotify or Pandora or whatever.
I haven't bought I haven't bought music since Napster.
Yeah,
I
I haven't
mean,
either. I haven't
when
either.
when Napster came along, I mean, I've got a hard drive around here somewhere that's got
Oh yeah,
basically everything I've ever listened to on it.
yeah.
So yeah, and but you know what, man? That's because I don't know if we want to go into that, but it's those the music call them. I don't even want to call them producers, man. Just the labels from the old model is just they did not want to embrace this, and they paid the price.
Yeah.
And it to I have no idea why today, if you have music that's original and you've worked and you've produced it, I, I don't know why you would sign that over to anyone
I know.
for anything.
Yeah,
Like if it's good, just put it out, man. Just put
yeah,
it out.
exactly.
If it's good, it'll somehow. I don't see how
Yeah.
any of these big companies would really help you get there.
No, I mean you
I
can
don't
do it all
remember
yourself.
how many opening acts of a concert that you went to that you remember.
There were a few that stick out because there were a few that
You?
were big. Peter Frampton opened up for Leonard Skinner. I remember that.
Okay.
Um, Fastway opened up for the Scorpions, and that's what I was going to say. The Scorpions is probably one of the few bands that I saw that just sounded awesome live.
Yeah.
Not many like that. Um, yeah, but not very
ACDC.
many. Yeah, usually the opening bands we're going down getting a beer. Yeah, AC/DC. I mean, they're
It's because
AC/DC when they're on stage. Yeah. Well, yeah. Usually opening bands. Let's go get a beer.
I went to the last time Iron Maiden was in town. They that guy's incredible. I mean, he was still jumping around like. I
He's gonna
mean,
break
he
his head,
sounded exactly the same. I mean, and I'm just making the assumption that I was listening. I was listening to him because you could see the timing of when he was jumping around his voice.
There are a bunch of backing tracks and so on and so forth. I mean, that's becoming a thing now.
Yeah.
Much more than it was back in the day. But you know what? And we were talking today, that interview with Paul Stanley said, somebody said, well, you don't sound like you used to. Well, of course, I'm 70 years old. No, I don't sound like I used to. Right.
What do I look like I used to? What the hell's wrong with you?
You going to put Joe Theismann on the field and expect him to play like he did 40 years ago? It's not going to happen. Voices go. I used to be a pretty good guitar player. I've got arthritis. I'm not near the guitar player I was 40 years ago. I think some of the stuff I used to play, there's no way in hell I could play that stuff anymore. My fingers don't work like that. It's a product of getting older. You lose your voice. You lose your dexterity. But, a lot of these guys that we have playing live, they're older guys. I'd say probably 70% of the bands that we have in there, most of the guys in the band are probably 45 plus. Which makes them, they're good musicians. We are blessed. We do have a lot of great musicians in this area. But, it's hard to do that stuff. Yeah.
All right.
Age, it doesn't matter. You can fight age all you want to, but it catches up with you. You might not notice as much, but certain things you do. Man, I just can't do that the way I used to. And singing. Guys can't sing the way they used to. And they can't sing live like they do in the studio. You can't do it.
Right.
I mean, you don't have the benefit of, a good engineer tweaking your voice. And, there's so much they can do now digitally. They can make me sound good singing. And trust me, microphones scare the hell out of me. That's why I started playing guitar.
Oh, back to your point, though. If you can't sing it like they did in a studio if you also want to be an entertainer. Right. Like if I was doing this thing right here with you and I had this microphone, it's a pretty decent microphone. I don't know. Does it sound pretty good for?
Yeah.
It's not some high dollar one or whatever, but if I was, even walking up the hill over there and doing this, and everything, your voice would be different. Right. So it's, and that's a challenge with tribute bands that, because when we have a tribute band, which I do love, the expectation that the crowd has when you want to call yourself a tribute band is so much higher that they want it to sound just like they hear it. And that's kind of my point is even the people that created the music can't do that.
No.
So cut them a little bit of slack,
Perfect example, Def Leppard. There's 7 guitar tracks on most of their songs. They actually have to get together before they go on concert and figure out how to play their own music. Because, in the studio, they were overdubbing so much just to get that sound. Then they have to get together. Okay, then we have to figure out how to play this stuff live. It's a big difference from the studio and the stage. Every band. There's not a band out there that's going to nail it like you hear it on the record. And we talked about the tribute bands a little bit. They have their thing, their place, but there's very few tribute bands that, who do you want to go and listen to for 3 hours? Do you want to go listen to a certain band for 3 hours if you're not listening to that actual band? Even in concert, most bands are playing for an hour and a half, maybe. Most of them don't have 3 sets of music to play.
Is it an hour and a half?
Yeah. Some of them play longer. Some of them are shorter.
I think they try to stretch the 2. Yeah. No, I agree. It's certainly not much over 2, if ever, right?
No. There's some bands that'll stretch it out, but they're bands from back in the 70s and 80s that have, they have 25 albums out. They've got a ton of stuff to choose from. There's.
Well, you'll notice over the years that we've tried to tackle that problem by having some other band with the tribute band.
Right.
But then here comes the issue is now it's already hard money wise for some of these tribute bands because a lot of them have to travel, even if they're in the state.
Numbers.
Yeah, and it's tough. And
then
so
you got to throw an opening band on top of that. Yeah,
and you have to find a band to go in there with them that call it the tribute band or whoever the main. You got to find drummers like, yeah, man, you can play my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to find people to agree to that too. It's like, you know,
Yeah, people don't like it. We have to take an hour and a half between, tear up and
you can't do
and
that.
set up.
Right.
Yeah, they don't like that. So I mean, I would be kind of, I would probably do it, but somebody coming and playing through my gear,
Yeah, I
all
know.
right, if you blow
Exactly.
my app,
You don't blame them.
yeah, oh
You
yeah,
blame them.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I don't at all. We do like the benefits. We basically have to provide a backline because we can't have, say, 5 bands in there through the course of the day, and they're going to tear down and set up between every set. It would take,
Right.
we'd have it going for 24 hours, because it does take a certain amount of time to set up and tear down. I mean, we still have to do a little bit of sound check, but Rick's good. Usually he can do a quick sound check and he dials them in the first song or two, but it still takes time. It's still a half an hour when they're using another band's equipment, because they're still all bringing in their own guitars, they're bringing their own little thing in.
Well,
But yeah, it takes time.
One thing we could do is just say, every band, you're already using Jamie anyway. Why don't we just have one?
I mean, Jamie's the house drummer for the Bottle House.
Yeah, man. It's like I would ask that guy, "Was there anything you don't do, man?" Like,
No,
I mean,
there's not.
Holy, I see him everywhere.
He's like back there was a show on a while ago. It was talking about like the Jamaican workers, the 3 jobs. That's Jamie.
Yeah.
He's like the Jamaican drummer, the trash can drummer. Comes in with his trash can with his drums. Jamie, love the guy to death. He's hilarious. Love him, but he's
Where's the
Jamie.
butt? Where's the butt? Yeah.
Jamie's Jamie. What are you doing, boy? Zeus is back there making a bid. You got my big 95-pound pitbull. He's my co-host.
Give me a little pour. I think we've made it past the halfway point, or that I won't.
Yeah, I don't think you're not going to fall off the stool now. So real quick, so people don't understand. Yes, you own the Bottle House. You've got a hell of a lot of other things going on too.
Yeah,
you've got multiple things. Kind of give a quick recap of everything that you're involved with.
I've been a general contractor for, I don't know, years. I did it on the side for a while. I had a role when I was in that sort of supervised facility construction. Some of it would be in inspection and making sure some of the contracts that the government was having built were, built to standard and that kind of thing. They were like sort of, underground secure facilities and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So other contractors, I didn't do the work. I was just sort of liaison that, because I sort of had this background. And so I've always had something like that kind of going on. And then once I started doing the bar stuff, I sort of tapered that back. It was like, I really didn't have time for anything else. And then we tried to make a run in expanding, back in 21 or 20 with another location up north. Some people might be familiar with. And then, so it kind of, that was a little bumpy, but I got that one done and did a grand opening in December. And then that March is when all the COVID bullshit.
Bottom fell out. Yeah.
And, so basically I just opened another location. In all intents and purposes, it just opened. I mean, even though it was existing before, all the remodel, it was all done. It pretty much was like just open.
Well, then the whole world changed.
Yeah, that shut down, plus Bottle House shut down.
Yeah.
And so, I went back to, construction because, it's pretty easy to understand. You can't shut construction down. That'll never happen.
Yeah,
there will always be something that needs to be repaired, or I mean, even the government can't shut down construction like they need it to. So, I would say that was a lot more out of, call it necessity, like, because I wasn't sure about the one location that was hit or miss, but I knew Bottle House, if we could just get back open, we could make it work. And so, but literally, man, 6 months, nothing.
Oh, yeah. It's a good thing when you did open, people were thirsting for some place to go. It's like, give me some place to go.
And I was, bro, I was this close to doing just putting the plywood back up on the front,
Yep.
right? And just members only or some crap. Man, I'm not kidding. If I didn't, if all I had at the time was Bottle House, I totally would have done it.
Yeah.
But because I'm telling you that I don't know how long you want to go on this, but maybe that's for another time and tell everybody that actually what happened during COVID. But I guess you can tell by the tone of my voice how my approval level of how that was handled.
I think we both agree on that.
Yeah. We
are fortunate we're in Florida, so it wasn't as bad as some areas.
But that's the issue that I kind of have with it, man, to be honest, is it's looked at now as it was handled so well here in Florida, but only because it was handled so poorly everywhere else.
Yeah.
It was still handled poorly here, and that there's no way that could be disputed.
Well, I think hopefully our country and the powers that be learned a lot from that. You cannot shut down an economy.
Hopefully the citizens, the people learned.
Yeah.
That's what
I think they did. I think everything that's coming out now, everybody's realizing, well, why were we doing all that stuff? Why were we listening to these people when everything they're telling us? What the hell is a freaking paper mask going to do?
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, come on.
I'm sure nobody wants to hear that. So, but anyway, they So I went. I just went back to construction, and it just again there's just that little bit of timing luck where it just blew up. I mean, like there's just so much work that, and I'm kind of, I just keep a couple of guys. I don't have a big company. I have a lot of capability, but I don't keep like a big company with, people going out providing quotes all the time and all that kind of stuff. I try to like pick and choose. So I do like site development type work, the utility tie-in stuff, kind of the stuff done before anybody builds a building. And that, you have to have some equipment for that, which I do. And
yeah, you do. You got your toys.
And it was, what's that?
You got your toys.
Yeah. Well, you got to have something.
Yeah. Look at my damn trailer, jam-packed full.
Yeah. I mean, you can't rent all the time, man. You'll lose.
No.
It's too expensive.
If you're doing one job, you need one to maybe then. But if it's something you're going to do multiple times, you just got to invest and buy. I mean, I buy. Yeah. Sometimes I hate buying tools. Well, it's love hate. I love tools, so I like buying them. But I'm thinking,
right, like your toy.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
But it's in my trailer's jam packed, and we were the same way through COVID. We stayed steady. We weren't slammed, but we stayed steady. We're like you. We're not a huge company. We kind of keep at a certain level. Of course, we're getting to the point now where we're kind of looking at what do we do? Do we scale up? Do we scale back?
No, stay.
That's what I keep saying. Let's just keep it as it is.
I'm not trying to tell you what to do. It's just that, man,
don't take on too much. We can take on more, but we don't need to. It's like we could spend the next 2 years over in Madeira Beach easily. Right. We can go over there and set up. Right. We could open an office, just set up and work there. But do we really want to do that? We have enough here in our backyard.
This week that helped me out with a little bit of drywall, and he told me that he has been down in Anna Maria basically since a month after the storm, and he thinks he'll be working there for another year at least. Yeah. I
went down and looked at 2 of them down in Siesta Key, and we just couldn't figure out how to make it work.
Right. The drive, right? The getting over there. This same problem he's having, right? Because you can't if you can't rent a house at the Key or on Anna Maria, because what's that going to cost?
Your prop's gone.
Right. Yeah, you're not making any money.
There. Yeah, exactly.
So and then you can't keep a lot of stuff over there because they got all those work restrictions and.
I would have to drag my trailer every day, hour and a half each way. It's just, I said, it's just not worth it. We can't build enough profit into
about $80.
Oh yeah.
In driving a day.
Well, I know every time I cross the crosstown with my trailer, $10 a day. there and back, $10.
Well, yeah.
Every time I'm on the crosstown. Yeah, because they ding me for the trailer all the time. So I mean,
Another axle,
it's
man.
part of it. Yeah, but it is what it is.
Roll across there with a flatbed.
Yeah,
Go carrying an excavator.
exactly.
Get that built.
Yeah, that's
Like,
a couple bucks.
It's funny too because the sun pass.
Mm-hmm.
The sun pass doesn't pop. It'll pop as one, and then you get the bill in the mail for the other axle later.
Yep. Oh yeah. Trust me. I get an email once a week. Because I have it to autofill at like $20. I should make it higher. Yeah, you're past your $20. You got to give us more money. So, damn. All right, whatever. And then we did do some work over in St. Pete. Every time I cross the bridge, it's over and back.
Right.
It's just more money. We try to factor that in when we bid stuff, but there's always a couple extra days there. And when I go over there, if I don't have something with me, a lot of times I think, well, I don't really need my trailer, but if I don't take it, there's going to be that one damn thing that I need.
For sure.
So it's just, I drag that thing with me pretty much everywhere I go. Which, at least I know when I get there, I got what I need.
Yep.
So,
yeah, you got to have it.
Yeah. And on top of that, you actually own a couple other businesses as well. You got a car wash and a few other things going on.
No, I don't own a car wash.
Oh, did you get rid of that?
I was trying to.
Yeah. Well, I know you were working on trying to get up and running.
Yeah, that one didn't pan out. Actually, I wasn't really going to have a car wash. I was going to try to convert it into a liquor store. But actually, watch that, man. In the future, for anybody wondering, keep an eye on the car washes. They're gonna be some real estate ready to be converted to something. Because man, there's been a lot of those things built that.
Oh yeah, they're like storage. They're popping up everywhere.
Yep.
So speaking of that, the future plans. I know you can't go into everything. I understand that. But is there anything that you do have coming up that you can divulge?
Let's see. Well, there's nothing that I ever want to be involved in, no business anyway, that I'm not trying to expand it.
Yeah.
Except construction. That's the only one.
Oh yeah.
Now, when I say not trying to expand it, meaning I'll go bid a job, but construction is just too making that leap, man. It's because it can be feast or famine. So you can get hurt really bad, pretty quick on some of those things, and then there's just so much that's out of your control, with regulatory environment, engineers, and et cetera. But yeah, we're definitely looking to expand on the bar business deal. I always look at any existing bar that's for sale. Because I got a really good team of people that I would like to build off of. Sort of what I was also trying to do with that other one that just didn't work out. Because it allows you to like with hours with some of the bartenders or whatever, we're kind of on that kind of fine line where if we don't have enough people on staff that time of year when everybody wants to take off some time, and then if somebody gets sick, we got one or two people covering a lot of stuff. So it'd just be kind of nice if we had a location close enough that we could. The idea with the other ones we could share, because all our systems are going to be the same, basically. So you could just put on a different shirt and go work over there.
Double-sided
like
shirts.
if somebody wants, like we got a scheduling issue where somebody wants 4 shifts and we can only give them 3. Well, okay, we can give you a 4th one over here.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely looking at other locations. In terms of Bottle House, the way the building is, I've tried a lot of things there, the landlord, and without going into too much detail. I mean, I think it's safe to say he's just not very cooperative. For example, the folks that are familiar with the place, that that little drive-through right next to it. The last time I went for a lease renewal. I tried to negotiate that in there, and you pay a little more and try to get that spot so we could park a food truck there all the time, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just couldn't get anything going with him there. Just wouldn't do it. So in terms of like actually expanding there in that building, unless something happens to Sonny's, which I don't see in any way, shape, or form, not there, but definitely other locations. There were a couple things that I've been thinking about trying. I went on a cruise. Like so for Christmas time, our family, we don't spend a whole bunch of money on like gifts. We always go on some kind of, an event or something. Make a memory instead of buying some plastic. And so we went on this cruise, and they had this event in one of the little bars or clubs in there, that this silent disco thing.
Yeah.
Seen
a couple
this?
bars have done that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it's, you got headphones on, kind of like you got there, and they got like 2 channels and flip back and forth, but you can't. There's no music being played except in the headphones.
In the headphones, yeah. So everybody's dancing and it's quiet in there.
Yeah, I mean everybody's having a great time. And I thought about maybe trying that. We floated it. Lexi floated it to a couple people, and she's like, "That's a terrible idea," because the feedback was anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, okay. So we're trying to bring something different in there. The stuff we're doing with the bands. We're trying to get some really some bands that we haven't had before,
which is working out pretty well so far.
Yeah. So really, the bar thing would just be another location. I mean, that's all I can really say about that. I can't really say which one. I don't know. If something comes up, I'm open to it. And
Well, you got your ear to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have a network of live music venues. I mean, I really do like the concept of a live music venue. What's challenging about having, Rick's famous for giving me a hard time about this one, but it's, yes, okay, we have music Friday and Saturday. We have a pretty decent level of production in terms of lights and sound. I mean, it's really good for a bar. It's the best we can do. But the other 5 days of the week, it has to be a bar. The place needs to, do something else other than music to sustain. And so, to have a place that a network of multiple bars where we have live music is something I'd really like to get to, where we're bringing in some acts like what used to happen. I don't know if maybe I shouldn't say used to, but up at like the Skippers.
Yeah.
Skipper Smokehouse. You familiar with that place?
Oh, yeah.
So Tom, I haven't talked to Tom in years, man, but he used to have these acts that would come to town. Like Tab Benoit was one of them. Never heard of the guy. But a lot of people apparently have, man. Yeah. He used to sell like 800 tickets to have this guy come into town. And then there was this other one. She was awesome, man. Samantha Fish.
You ever heard that name? I've heard the name.
Go. What's one of her songs that you might have? Let me hit it real quick. Let's see, Bulletproof. Just go listen to Bulletproof. So she plays. What's the name of those guitars? They call them the cigar box.
Yeah.
She plays one of those, and oh man, she's incredible. Oh, he'd bring people like that, and I know he's paying these people, $20 grand to come to town.
Yeah.
So you gotta
get them for
get after it, man.
Yeah. But you have to have a large enough venue to support that.
That's right.
I mean, let's face it. Even if we sold tickets at the Bottle House, what is our capacity? 120, what, 6?
129. Yep.
129. Okay. Yep. You can't sell that many tickets.
No.
You can only squeeze so much shit into a hat.
That's right.
But you know what we do there is successful. We bring in the local talent. They've got a following. Most of the bands that come in there, people come to see them. So, we're doing well with what we have to work with.
Here's the thing, man. So every, I don't know, certainly Samantha Fish, whoever Tab Benoit is, um, the Scorpions. Like, name any band, regardless of what level they are at now. What's one place that they've played? Every one of them has played. They have one thing in common. They all started playing in a bar somewhere.
Exactly.
And so, you know, maybe we run across the next fish. Maybe we run across the next.
Again, we have some great musicians to come in there. I can tell everybody. Van Halen started off playing in bars. Actually, they started playing in backyards.
Backyards, yeah.
They just, it wasn't bam. Yeah, exactly. They all start off at our level. We've got some actually musicians that have rolled through there that are. There's a local band, pretty popular. They were doing a gig here a couple weekends ago, and the XYZ needed a guitar player. Well, they grabbed this guy to fill in. Well, guess what? Now he's part of XYZ.
Now he's part, yeah.
I mean, are they what they were back in the 80s? No, but still, I mean, they're a national touring act. So, like I said, there's some great musicians around here that once they're seen, you never know what's going to happen.
Man, I'm not a musician, obviously, but I've seen enough music that I know what a good, a good guitar player is. I know what, I can hear it. I may not know what he's doing, but I know what it sounds like.
My buddy say, when you say he's good, he must be good. I said, yeah. Sometimes, how's that guy? He's not bad. When I say he's good, he must be good.
We got a lot of them
Ronnie Zebron.
They're really good, though.
I mean, Ronnie Zebron. The guy is just, he's amazing. Yeah. Gary Shutt. I mean, I can name 10 guys that are just phenomenal guitar players, let alone the drummers, the bass players, the vocalist. There's some awesome talent around here. And, we're lucky we have them come through. I kind of feel lucky because I get to see different bands every weekend. And, we try to keep it, as like that 2.5 to 3 month rotation. So in that time, I get to see other bands. And some of the new bands we've had in there recently, I tell you what, I think we struck gold with a few of them.
I hope so, man.
We've been lucky. Yeah. We were talking today. Are we going to hit a home run every single time? Yeah. You got to give me a break every now and then. If a band comes in and they're not the greatest, okay, we're trying them out. We might find a diamond in the rough, or we might find the rough. But for the most part this year, every band that's come in there has been phenomenal. And usually after about halfway through the set, yep, I'm ready to book you again. Yeah, I tell them all, I'm not going to book you additional dates until you play your first gig. Yeah, you got to play that gig. Let's see how it goes. And you'll know if I'm happy or if I'm not happy. And so we've been very lucky. In fact, we have a band coming back here in a couple weeks, Blackthorn Rose. They were there, phenomenal. The band that we had a few weekends ago, great band. I mean, we've been extremely lucky. And in fact, the band playing Friday night, Blackwater Jack. I mean, I was telling everybody, if you like country and Southern rock, these guys are awesome. They're amazing. And I like that mix up of music, not just having, the rock bands all the time, mixing in some country and some different music.
Yeah, we have to do that, man. Yeah. We got to have the country. I am so hoping this is for real with Jason and Ronnie.
They're going to, well, I guess I can tell everybody.
Duo, but I'm do the
duo. About. But they will have a band in time. Jason and Ronnie are like, they're like brothers to me. I love the guys to death. So trust me, I'm jabbing them in the back. They've already mentioned some names to me. And like I said, greatest guys in the world.
Are they going to call it the same thing that they did before?
I don't know. They might just do Zebron and James. See, originally when they had the full band, it was Zebron and James. Then they did Dirt Road Rodeo. And then they did Cigar City Outlaws.
When they did the full band, man, was...
Oh, hey, Ross,
you know what? I remember these guys. I'll tell you a story about those guys. I don't know. When you had them on, I was listening to it, and I'm trying to remember if they brought it up, how they... So, okay, whenever they decided they were going to do a duo, but Bottle House, actually, I think the name... I don't remember if the name had changed yet, but it was still undergoing. We were sort of halfway through it, call it. But I remember when these guys came in, it's the first time I'd ever seen somebody come in and do it like they did it, which is, a lot of times people just send an email or they'll like DM the bar or whatever, or they'll just drop something off at the bar, which, does work from time to time.
Yeah.
Even better when they drop something off and they used to actually drop an actual CD or something.
Yeah.
But you can just go a link to go look at it or whatever. These guys come in, and at this time, we were trying everything. We hadn't really figured the formula out, and the duo thing didn't work on the weekends. Like we were really like trying to figure out. Here was the truth of the matter. I was trying to do duos on Friday or Saturday and a full band on the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, during this time, Fridays were always the busiest night just because it's Friday. So the idea was if we can this is the night we're already going to be busier. Let's put the duo on that night because most people will come on Saturday to see the full band.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we were doing nothing but duos on Fridays. And the truth of the matter is that's just because we couldn't afford anything else. But that was the truth. It wasn't some gimmick. It was like, this is all we got money for. Right. So, and so the duos at the time were a couple $100.
Yeah.
And so it worked. You knew that if I shell out $200 in cash, because this is back also too, where we just paid everybody in cash because we could, enough people bought in cash that there was actually cash in the building.
Yeah, well, your accountant might not agree with that now.
No, not even close now. So these guys come in and they're like, yeah, we're this duo. We're, we're gonna we do some country. It's kind of a little upbeat country. We do some rock country and et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, okay. And they were just nice, genuinely nice guys. And then we're like, well, here's our, flyer or whatever. If you, think you want to have us and, let us know. And I'm like, okay, well, how much? And they were like $300. And I was like, whoa, I know it sounds ridiculous now. Right. But I'm like, man, I really wish we could do that. Cause you guys seem like really presentable, nice people. I never heard any of you play, but just your presentation, just your, your demeanor. And they're like, all right, we'll tell you what, how about you pay us $200 and then be the judge of whether or not we were $300. And it's the same thing you said. It's like 2 songs in or like, yeah, it's more. Yeah. Well, I gotta find a way to pay these guys $300. Because
Ronnie Zebron on an acoustic does stuff most guys can't do on electric. I mean, the guy is just every time I watch him, I tell him every time I see you play, I just want to just sell all my gear off. But Ronnie is just he's the most unassuming, the most down to earth, humble guy you'd ever want to meet. He is extremely supportive of everybody else. His
wife is awesome too, man.
Yeah, Sandy's wonderful.
Sandy, I took my daughter out to her. She's got,
Sandy loves her horses.
A horse thing, yeah.
She loves her horses. Her horses and her grandbabies.
She's like, bring her on out, and I'll show her. And, man, she's so cool about it.
Yep.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm fortunate. I call all of them really close friends. I mean, hell, Jason lived with me for a while, for about a year or so. Ronnie, I've known for 40 plus years. So, I mean, I consider them some of my closest friends, and I love them to death. They're great people, all of them. And anybody that's associated with them. I mean, when they did have Dirt Road Rodeo, with Chaz on bass and Marco on drums, just great guys, all around great guys. So, I think a lot of those guys. Man. Yeah, I know. I'm pushing. Trust me, I got my finger in the back. Come on, guys. And, they're talking. I'm not going to speak for him, but I have a feeling.
Wherever he is, I haven't seen him in a while. Man, I wish we had a Gravity Down back too.
I know. I mean, there's a lot of great bands that came through there that are just,
man,
not necessarily falling by the wayside. Some of them, guys have gone on to other projects and so on and so forth. And that's the biggest thing with bands. There is a turnover. There's a higher turnover in bands than there is the bar business. Yeah, because,
Man, I tried like hell to get, in terms of tribute bands too. I tried like hell to get Ronnie. I'm like, look, man, I'll even help you put this together. But especially now, this was years ago, right after. So I had tickets to go see Linkin Park in amphitheater. And this is when Chester killed himself like, I don't know, like 2 weeks before they were going to be here in Tampa or something like that. And I'd only seen him one time before, so this was like, man, I love Linkin Park. I love all that music, and so I told Ronnie, I'm like, man, dude, you got to put a tribute of Linkin Park together, because I don't know if you remember, Ronnie's vocals, but he can do Chester perfect, man.
Yeah.
Like not even like, dude, I shouldn't say Chester. He can hit those notes in that, I don't know what you call it, the scream, really.
Yeah.
It's something other than a scream. I don't know but he can hit that shit just like he does and come off of it and sound like have all these different changes. He can do that. And I'm like, man, this thing will kill it everywhere. And, but I respect him though. He's like, no, I had to give the life up, man. It was.
Yeah. It's not an easy life.
No.
People ask me all the time, do you miss it? I did it. If I did it now, it'd kill me. Quite honestly. I can, like I tell everybody, well, you're not playing anymore. I play. They're hanging back there. I play. But I'm involved in a different aspect of it now. I'm involved in this aspect of it now, which I enjoy.
Right.
Because it's a huge time investment for very, very little return, quite honestly. I mean, you know yourself. You get a 4 or 5 piece band in there. Well, you know what we're paying, how much they're making. You do it because you love it, not because you want to get rich. I mean, that's what I have to say. That's why I said I respect anybody that gets up there because they're doing it. They're not getting rich. They're making a living. That's all. They're barely making enough money to buy gear and gas to the gigs.
I know, man.
And that's all around.
And I know, and I know when these bands are like, like, come on, man, you gotta kick us some more. Like, look, you got to understand. I mean, trying. Like we tried to do everything to make it as easy as possible and save you some money and time. You know what? At some point, maybe that's the goal. Maybe, we sort of change this model where, no, if you want to come see a band, you got to pay for it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a standard back in the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
Everywhere you went,
like every bar I went to, if it was a popular bar, especially as a dude, you had to pay to get in. That's the way it was, man.
Yeah. $10 back in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
only dudes. Yeah.
We as musicians made great money back then because we got a percentage of the door, a flat, and we pretty much had an open bar all night. Well, that could put some bars out of business.
When I was when I would work the door, the guys that were super good looking, I made them pay more. There's a tax on how pretty you are, man.
We don't have to worry about that at the Bottle House. No, I'm kidding. I love the people that come in the Bottle House. I consider everybody that comes in there, like I tell everybody, I consider everybody to be my friend.
I'm telling you, man, if we could convince the general public, which this is a pipe dream, if we could convince the general public, yeah, man, can you kick $10 to come watch these guys? I don't need to take all that. Like, to your point, we're there to sell booze.
Right.
We're there to sell an environment, some alcohol to the extent that it's, permissible and ethically, as best as we can. People do their own thing sometimes, but
well, help us bring the guys you want in there. We can't pay the $1,500, $2,000 for these bands.
Well, I would say this to a band too. Like, okay, let's totally change the model. Play for the door. You can have it all.
Yeah.
I don't even want it.
Yeah.
How about that? But
that's something we can bring. But also the bands, the bands have to chip in too. Bring your people to us. Get on there like we do. Try to advertise it. Blow this stuff up. Invite every damn body Hey, we're playing at the Bottle House this week. Because when we do this stuff, I help them advertise the other places they're playing. Help us. Just get on social. I mean, social media is the way to go. Just start pounding the stuff, and a lot of the bands do. Don't get me wrong. A lot of them actually do that.
They do, man. And it's hard. I'm not bitching about it at all. I mean, it's just the way it is right now. But I'm also not the type of person that sits around and bitches about something unless I intend to do something about it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Otherwise,
Well, we've talked. I like your ideas, and like I tell everybody, Russ is the owner, and if Russ tells me this is the policy, well, guess what? That's not negotiable. You know, this is what Russ wants. This is what we're going to do. Um,
Man, if there's any hard rules laid down, that's just because that's the way it has
there's
to
a
be.
reason,
There's a
exactly.
reason why a bottle house has been there for 10 years. It's
Yeah.
not just because, you know, there you have to hold some kind of standard and not be silly with.
Right.
But again, man, I agree with you, and I respect what they do, and I really wish there was a way that we could, push more towards their way for what they do. I
Well,
don't.
we can talk to the musicians about this too. What do you guys think? How can we do this? How can we make it a better environment for you guys? Help us make you more money. We want you to make more money. We want to keep you guys going because without the musicians, we don't have anything. Without the bands, I'm not going to stand up on stage and sing to people all night long because trust me, you will lose money.
Yeah.
Yeah, working with the guys. I mean, fortunately, I'm lucky enough to be friends with 99% of the people, the guys and the bands that walk through the door. We talk to them. Hey, what are your ideas? What do you guys think? And a lot of them are on here tonight. I mean, got Greg on there. Ronnie
Greg.
and Jason, all the guys from Sobriety X. I mean, love them. In fact, I'm going to bring it up now.
Great, man.
I haven't mentioned this yet. So this year for New Year's Eve, we're bringing Sobriety X in for New Year's Eve.
Is that right?
Bound to be a wild night. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everybody loves Sobriety X. So they haven't done a New Year's Eve gig in a long time. So they agreed to do it for us. Because that's something. New Year's Eve, you got to book like a year out. Because I hate to say it, most bands are booked.
We don't need what's the way I want to put this? We don't need a reason for Sobriety X to amp up.
Hey, the guys are getting older, they're maturing.
Oh man.
Greg's actually got a fiance now that's keeping his ass in check.
Oh my God. The early days of these guys.
Oh my God, the stories.
I love them to death, man. Woo, they're a handful of something. They were a handful. Yeah, you're right. It's totally better now. But
we're gonna hide the Jaeger that night. No Jaeger New Year's Eve.
Yeah, we just
ran out. Suppliers are out. No Jaeger. And they're good. I mean, and they want to see, places like us. They want us to be successful as well. Because again, without us, they don't have a place to go play. And like I said, they've matured in their older age.
And people do, want to come see them. They're I mean, God, these guys have been doing it forever.
They're a draw. I mean, they're one of the longest
I know
continual bands in the area. Them, Stormbringer, there's only a few of them that have been around that long. And, you got to say something about longevity there. They're doing something right.
Yep.
And they're still mixing new music in all the time. I mean, with Wolf and Butch on guitar, it's two great guitar players. They sound great together. I mean, they've got a sound all their own. When Sobriety X plays, it's Sobriety X. You just know that sound.
For sure.
So,
and they're entertainers, man.
They are. Yeah.
Like you're not standing up there singing like Mad Dog and everybody grumpy. You know what I'm saying?
No, they're there to have a party.
Yeah.
They come in there to have a good time. There's no dead air. You don't have to worry about 30-second dead air between songs. Because, to get them to shut up, you have to take the mics away from them. They're the opposite of dead air. And if one doesn't talk, the other ones are going to talk. The only one that doesn't talk is poor David, and he's back there working his ass off all night.
All right, so by New Year's, do I have to have a drum riser in there, David?
Stripper pole.
Man, I wanted a drum riser forever. Our ceiling height.
I know, it's tough.
So
it's
bad.
tough.
And
we could do about maybe 12 inches max, if that, maybe 10. I can't get much in there. I mean,
Right.
I've looked at it and I've measured, and I say maybe about 10 inches max is about the most we can go for a riser.
Which it wouldn't be bad necessarily, but the issue though is then now that space is totally captured.
Yep.
And the guys, and in particular, this is a good point about like with how they brought in, Butch. Butch is awesome.
Oh yeah.
Then to bring in this, that's the thing that I learned with Gravity Down. They were the first band that I saw where they brought in that fifth guitar, man. And there is, it's worlds of difference.
It's a full sound. It's just,
man,
yeah.
You can just do so much more.
Yeah.
And in particular, when you're playing just a small room, and it's real. I mean, it's just so much more robust.
And and Wolf compliments Butch, and Butch compliments Wolf so well. I mean, those two guys together. I mean, they've got to figure it out. They play well together. I think they enjoy each other. Those guys are friends.
Yeah.
They're not only bandmates, they're friends. They look out for each other. They do stuff away from Sobriety X, and they've got a good relationship. I remember back in days, they'd get a little tooted up and start arguing on stage, and they get into a fist fight. But like I said, they've matured.
Hey, but that's entertaining.
That's rock and roll.
Back to the entertaining thing though, man. Like those guys, even if you're not running around or getting up on a bar or doing anything crazy, right? When you see musicians playing together and you can just tell they're having a good time, like they're not tired of doing this anymore. You can tell. You can just tell when the guys when they're tired or maybe they're just like, I was into this 2 years ago, but now.
Now, it's repetitive. It's all it's a job.
Yep.
Yeah, the guys that are in there that enjoy being with each other and enjoy playing music.
You can't hide that, man. You just can't. You can't. And I'm not faulting anybody, and I'm not saying anybody in particular does this. I'm just saying I've seen it as many live performances that I've witnessed. You can just tell when dudes are having a good time playing together.
Yeah. And I was in one band like that where it felt like it was a chore to go play. And I didn't make it long because I said, if I'm not enjoying this, when it's just a job, I was going to work every night. It wasn't fun anymore. I said, guys, I can't do this anymore. I got to leave. I got to go find somewhere else. And then I hooked up with a band and we were like brothers. We were the same way. We were off. We'd go out, we'd get up in the morning, play golf after a gig, which kind of sucked, but we did it. And we actually enjoyed playing. We enjoyed entertaining. And of course, the benefits that come with it. We're not talking about that right now. It's a family show. But yeah, like I said, we do have some great guys coming in. Ricky's popping in here. I guess he's talking about a drum riser. Oh God, Rick. They're not that freaking tall.
Only if they stood up, Rick.
Yeah, can I ban Rick from this?
No.
Like I said, I think they want a stripper pole more than they do a drum riser. Or we can give them gift certificates to the wig shop, Sobriety X.
Yeah. Who are they going to put on there? Greg and Rick?
Oh, my God. I don't know. The last thing I want to see is Greg on a stripper pole.
Yeah.
I mean, Rick pretty much is a stripper pole.
If Greg's still on here, man, I got a funny-ass story about him one night.
So do I. Go ahead.
Maybe we'll save it for another one.
All right. Yeah, I got one too. And love the guys. I mean, Sobriety, you can't help but love the guys. I mean, obviously they were the first freaking band I had on here because I figured, if I'm going to do this, let's come out of the box and just throw myself to the wolves.
Man, I don't know how you kept it together that well.
It's, you pull back every now and then, let them go. And then you step back in. But what about, then you just step back. Yeah. Whenever Wolf started talking, I figured, okay, shut up. Wolf, the quiet guy on stage, he wasn't quiet that night.
Character, man.
Wolf he's a trip. I mean, all the guys are great guys. The guy that you think is the most vocal, Rick, he was kind of the quiet one. And of course, Dave's always quiet. But like I said, Dave, I mean, I don't care what anybody says. Dave, you're the heartbeat of the band. You're back there working your ass off every night, blonde hair flowing everywhere. And like I said, just great guys. And Butch, Butch is always kind of quiet. Butch just has that look like, yeah, I've done this shit so long. You're not going to teach me anything. I know.
I wonder.
They were fun.
And I wonder now that we don't have smoking, if maybe we could take a stab at, one of these. Maybe I don't know if Stormbringer would even fit in there, man.
They fit.
They're expensive, because they're worth it.
But they're a destination band.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind, you might have to have somebody at the door saying, hey, we're at capacity. You got to wait till somebody leaves. I mean, they're that kind of band.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we already have, in fact, it's been advertised. We have Full Throttle coming over. And they've got a hell of a following on the other side of the bay. So I think when they come in there, we're going to be pretty damn packed that night. So, yeah, like I said, and we went back and forth for a couple months trying to get everything worked out with them. We finally came to terms on a date, and now that they're going to be in there, and I don't know exactly what day it is, but I think I'd have to look, but it's coming up in the summer here sometime soon.
If there was a way for me to get that entire building over there, man, believe me, it would be on.
I mean, you're kind of limited with what you can do. But like I said, you never know what's going to happen in the future.
Never know, though.
Yeah. So real quick, I just want to touch on this. You've actually partnered up with a couple of different liquor providers, a couple of different companies. Yeah, touch base on that real quick, because that's kind of stuff that's important.
Yeah, you're right in terms of that. Yeah. So
there's Jenna. Sweet little Jenna, love Jenna.
Yeah, so there's this, the bourbon craze that was out there, and so this kind of started when I started the location up north. Because so what you're able to do when you have multiple locations is establish a pool license where you purchase primarily a lot of product through one and internally distribute it to your other location. And then that provides you volume numbers so that you can use quantity discounts. It also turns out the state does allow you to, like, say if there was another bar, even if I didn't own it, you can partner up and bring them in the pool. I just haven't found, you got to be pretty trustworthy. Yeah. That's a different level of, right. If you don't own it, you don't control it. It's, you got to be careful. So, because, you have to account for this stuff. You have to keep these records. Like the state comes and checks them at least once a year. And so anyway, once you start establishing enough volume, then you get these allocated type bourbons that are allocated, meaning they're really tough to get. And so they're limited, and they just basically give them to the accounts who do the most business with that particular brand. And so we kind of change product lines and what we pour, say, in our well, which for Bottle House has never been what I call like slop, the gut rot, the aristocrat or whatever stuff,
the plastic bottle stuff.
Else, right? We've always minimum poured something like a Smirnoff in the well, or never done that $5 bottle. I mean, it's just garbage. Yeah. And so we pour, a $12, $15 bottle of vodka in our well. And so by doing that, we get these volumes, and that's how the bourbon collection that's in there now was built, is doing that. And so over that time, I've accumulated quite a few of those, enough to where what's up there, I shouldn't run out, Yeah. And so that's what's there with that. And like I told you before, I was and still am looking to open or find some kind of piece of real estate I could put a liquor store in where it just does package. And so I also wanted to have that stock available for when I did that opening. And so it just means sometimes Bottle House gets some pretty good bourbons that other people don't.
Yeah, and the Bottle House, I think, has a pretty decent selection of some very good quality. I don't drink anymore, but
I know. Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I'm not ashamed to brag about it a little bit. It's for call it neighborhood bar. It's up there.
Yeah, I think that makes it unique.
Yeah, we're not trying to be. You're not gonna. When you come there, you're not gonna. We did manage to figure out a way we could put the ball of ice, just because that melts slower. But that's about as uppity as you're gonna get it. The only thing you're gonna get other than that is a good pour. That's it.
You get the ball ice cube and boiled peanuts.
We're not gonna be over there smoking it and putting all kinds of crazy stuff in it.
I think most of the people in there were like, "What the hell is this?"
Hey,
But yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, it's I've kind of dedicated myself and my time to it, and there's a reason. There's not many places I'd want to go into and put in the time and so on and so forth that I have there. It's because, it's family. The staff there, I love them all. It's a great place to be, even if I weren't in there. Not that I have to be there, but I guess in a way I kind of do. But I'd still be there if I didn't have to be. It's because I appreciate the people. I go in there. It's cheers to me. It's the local bar. You walk in, you're comfortable. You're not looking over your back all the time. You don't have to worry about a fight breaking out every 10 minutes. It's just a place you can go and enjoy good music, enjoy good staff. You got good liquor. The prices are reasonable. I think the prices there are very reasonable.
Yeah, we try, man. It's getting
tough.
harder and harder. I got to be honest,
Yeah, and there has to be some increases every now and then. I think people understand that.
Yeah.
You can't hold 1970s prices in 2025. You just can't do it. You're not going to sell a $1.50 bottle of beer anymore, and if you do, you're not going to want to drink it.
I'll give you an example, because dumb shit like this will happen. Just so last year, we'll call it 2 years ago. There's an attorney contacts the bar, says, we'll get notices from attorneys and from detectives from time to time. They mostly just want some video or some crap like that, which, by the way, no one comes in and has access to our camera system.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't do any of that. If they want something, they tell us what they want. We'll go look at it and we'll decide whether or not if it's there. We don't, we don't play that game.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we'll get notice to preserve or whatever. And a lot of times it's just people fishing, it's nothing. But we got this one that made a claim against our insurance. So by law in the state of Florida, if someone asks for insurance, by law, we're required to provide them the name of our insurance provider and et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
It's an attorney, whatever, right? So the attorney does that. We provide it. They didn't actually make a claim, but because they contacted the insurance company, a claim number was assigned. Well, that immediately, it's just like what happened. It's like you getting in an accident, but it's not your fault. Your insurance company still knows you're in an accident, right? Yeah. To them, they're like, well, we don't know for sure if you're at fault or not. So what are they going to do to your rate? Mm-hmm. Well, Florida's already having a huge problem with insurance everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yes. Tons of carriers are just done with Florida. So in 1 year, our liability insurance tripled in 1 year.
It's insane.
And I'm, I don't want to get in obviously into details or whatever, but let's just say liability insurance on a bar is not.
It's not $200 a month.
Other than rent, it's probably one of the bigger expenses. It's more than music licensing fees, which are ridiculous. Like we pay almost $12,000 a year in licensing fees. Yeah. Just for music to be played there.
Yep.
Right.
So, I don't think people understand.
Play, what they,
Yeah, the average person who walks in there doesn't realize how much you have to put out just to maintain that bar. I mean, like you said, with the insurance, with the fees, with the licensing fees, with the electric, with the rent, just keeping inventory in there, staff. There's a lot of numbers going out the door.
Yeah, but, that's not unique. There's other people have businesses.
Sure,
it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. you have challenges in yours.
Yeah, I've got a lot of expenses in my business, and a lot of it's BS shit that we just have to pay, and you can't not pay it. We just have to pay it and bite our tongue and say, okay,
yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm, here's your money. But yeah, so I gotta pop. Jenna popped on here. Gotta pop this.
Who is?
I'm gonna start watching. I think. Love Jenna. Jenna's such a sweetheart.
What was it? Misty says the Boston girl brought
the
bottle house. What? Wait a minute.
Boston girl brought the Cheers in the bottle house because you were talking about Cheers.
Yeah, no, I know, but what? Let's see which character
was it? Diane? God, it's been so long since I watched that. I mean, I know the Norm and
Let's see. Yeah. So which one was she?
We got to be careful with that.
Yeah. Now that I look at the characters, I'm not going to say. Love you, Misty.
She's a Boston girl. I tell her, I said, I understand like every third word you say. You know that, right?
Oh, man.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
like
it
my
is
buddy
good.
Jay, who was on here before. He's from the Bronx. I said, I grew up in the South. I said, I understand like bits and pieces of what you say. If I just look at you like I'm lost, it's because I am. I don't know what the hell you're saying half the time.
What you're saying? Yeah,
Ricky
man.
dropped in again. Yeah. Right. Is that the one you were thinking?
I don't. I don't think she.
Carla.
Yeah, no.
Jennifer that.
How would you say that, Kyla?
Yeah, Carla.
She didn't. She didn't. Yeah, she didn't sort of enunciate it in characters.
They're a trip. I mean, the girls in there are great. Actually,
Yeah,
I just enjoy being around them.
Raymond.
And I always make a point, and I try to at the end of every night just go in and give them a hug. Thank you guys, I really appreciate it. And they're rock stars. You got great people in there.
Yeah, man.
I mean, Adam back there. Adam's a rock star. Him, Jenna, Ari, Misty, Lexi.
Which, by the way, Lexi is the one that found them all, except
Yeah.
Jenna.
Yeah.
Well, I guess she didn't. Not Misty either. Misty came along, but there you go. See, how's it, Kyle?
Carla.
There you go. Oh no, Jenna put it on there. There you go.
Yeah, Jenna put Kyla.
Well, man. Well, you were right, man. We
I know it
broke
goes.
2
It just
hours.
goes. It
Yeah.
just you don't realize how long it's been.
I was
you
like,
just get
man,
here
there
and
ain't
start
nobody
talking.
want to really hear me run my mouth for 2
No,
hours.
I think obviously looking at the viewings and the comments, everybody wanted to hear. And
Yeah.
I thought it was
Good.
important that everybody gets to know. I mean, probably 90%, 85% of the people in there. I mean, you can walk in there and 85% of the people in there have no clue who you are. So you're kind of incognito. And I think it's important to kind of give the credit where it's due. I mean, if it weren't for you, there would be no Bottle House. I mean, that's the reality of it. There would be no Bottle House if it weren't for you taking the risk and doing this and keeping it going every week.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that, man. I mean, but yeah, that's true. But if we didn't have the people that we have, it wouldn't be there. It wouldn't continue to be there. Let's put it that way. Maybe it got there because of me initially, but it's still there because of them.
Well, it's a family, and you're the patriarch. You are the patriarch of the family.
Well, somebody has to be in charge, man.
Yeah.
Especially when nobody else wants to be.
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody's got to do the shit that nobody wants to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do my best to keep an eye on the place when you're not around.
Well, we appreciate that, man. And to everybody that is listening or did or whatever, thank you. Thanks for coming by and seeing Bottle House. Thanks for being
Absolutely.
being supportive of the establishment, and definitely whether it's Bottle House or anywhere else, at least go support live music. That's what we have to do.
And as I tell everybody, come early, stay late.
Yeah.
Veronica, she said she needs a porta desk in there.
Use some of Rick's. Tell Rick to give up some desk space.
Rick's not giving up any space. No.
I know.
He's spread out all across there.
Oh, man. Another reason I wish we had more room so Rick could just have a booth.
Yeah, because we want to put him in a booth.
Put him in a booth.
We want to get him away from the population.
Love you, Rick.
Well, we do. Like I give him grief, but I tell everybody I can do that because I tell him the same thing to his face.
Yeah, of course.
It's not like I'm not. I tell him the same thing as to his face. Ricky, I tell him sometimes I just want to reach through and just. But then again, I love the guy. He's got a good heart. Phenomenal at what he does.
Technically, he's the best.
Yeah. Steve good.
Steve.
Thank
for sure,
Steve.
Steve.
Bar. Yeah.
If you got any ones we don't have that you'd like to see, shoot us a note. I'll see what I can get popped up there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we went on a little bit longer than I was expecting, but it was a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
there's so much about the Bottle House I think that people don't understand or don't know. And I wanted a forum for you to come out and say, this is what the Bottle House is, how it started, and this is how it's evolved into what it is today. And also for the musicians, we love those guys. We want to keep them coming in there. We love the customers. Like I tell everybody, the Bottle House is a family, and we've got some great customers. I told you earlier, with all this stuff, I've actually had customers out front policing the front for me when I couldn't get out there. So that's something there's something to say about our people. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always really, really put a ton of effort into it, even sometimes to the extreme of not being, how do I put this? Not being the bar owner I hear other musicians talk about, or other bartenders talk
Yep.
about. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like if you come and you perform, you do what you say you were going to do, you're going to get paid
Yep.
at Bottle House. You're going to, there won't be any shenanigans with anybody's tip money. There won't be none of that bullshit will happen
Yep.
there.
Yep.
Maybe we'll leave with this, and I'll give you another point that you'll see too that if we get a tab that gets walked on, when I say walk, I don't mean walk out like not pay. I mean somebody leaves their card. First of all, you're never going to see a tip suggestion at the bottom of a receipt at Bottle House.
Right.
Tip is something that is between. We should do a whole thing on tipping, man, about how because it takes that's taken a little bit of a hit in terms of public opinion, it seems lately. But
yes,
nonetheless, let's talk about that next time. But the point is the way we conduct businesses. I'm not going to tell you what you should tip. Damn sure hope you do.
Absolutely.
And but when somebody leaves their walks out and they didn't sign their slip. We don't automatically put gratuity on somebody's tab.
Right. Right. But you know what?
I've always thought that was a shitty thing to do. Now, I get it. That's a shitty thing for the bartender.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that is listening, don't do that. Like, sign your tab, man.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, though, if you come in the next day, the tip that you do leave, you won't be able to leave it on the card without doing another transaction because we closed it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you leave a cash tip, I can guarantee you that tip will make it to the correct person. We got a board in the back.
I can vouch for that.
Everybody on our staff makes sure that the stuff that belongs to who it's supposed to belong to makes its way to them.
See, I don't know. I think somebody's taking my tips. I never get my tips.
But that's just an example, man. And I've heard the horror stories from musicians about about bars saying, "Oh man, we didn't get the number we thought, so I'm not going to pay you what we agreed to." That will never happen.
Never been an issue. And and I like to tell the guys in the bands, if you got any issues, anything's wrong, you get with me. We'll take care of it.
Yeah, and if we took issue with something that the band didn't perform like we want, then we pay you this time.
Yeah, we're just going to have you back.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, no, it's just business. No big deal. But I'm never gonna renege on an agreement that was made.
Well, when I book them and we agree to it, to me, it's a gentleman's contract.
That's it.
And I'm an old school. Your word's your word.
Right.
And when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Like I said, I'm old school. You and I are very similar. In fact, I do want to say, me personally, I appreciate your service. I mean, most people don't know this. My father was a POW for 6 years. He was a badass. He was special forces. So I grew up in the military. I've been in a military family all my life, and it takes a special kind of guy to go in and do that, especially the extent of what you did it. And you didn't go in and do your 3 and get out.
Well, there's a whole other story there, man. I mean,
well, of course.
I mean, I wouldn't say I did want to do it, but maybe they'll save that one for another time. Let's just say a particular judge made a decision, a little bit of decision for me.
That happens a lot in the military, but you know what?
You might want to
look what it's done for you.
Well, for sure. But
I mean, I grew up in a very strict military family. When Dad got back, I mean, my father was a DI. Trust me, we lived. I mean, I grew up in the military. I was in the military from the time he got back when I was 7 years old. Yeah, it was. There were inspections. Yeah, I had to have my room inspected twice a week, and he was a tough ass. But you know what? He taught me a lot. I look at, then I was thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, this guy's a freaking asshole. He's a hard ass. But now that I look back on it, I go, miss my father. He passed away before I came out here. He had a hard time towards the end of his life just because, what he went through when he was a POW.
Physical ability,
but you know what? He never complained. He never said a negative word about his country. He never complained about it, and he would have turned around and done it again. Most of the guys like yourself are the same. If the country needs me, I'm there. And I'm sure if you were called up right now, hey, we're going to where we need you. We've got to. We're going to Iraq. 95% of the guys that we're in would say, make the call and I'm there. And that goes, and that's not just military, first responders in general, police, fire department, all the first responders. I have a great deal of respect for them. So hats off to you, sir.
Well, thanks for paying taxes, man. There's a,
Pay taxes.
In terms of the way I sort of describe that whole period is there were times that I couldn't believe I was getting paid to do what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then, but conversely, there's not enough money in the world to get me to do some of that shit again, man. Yeah. Walking all those miles with a damn pack. I mean, for senseless shit, but that's just, a funny way of like kind of thinking about it. Mm-hmm. That comes with some responsibility too, man. Like,
it does. Absolutely.
There's a lot of vets that probably need to pick that up a little bit these days instead of.
Yeah, my old man, perfect example. Back in the 70s when he got out, they didn't, he came back, he was in the hospital. He spent 3 months in the hospital, and then he was turned out into the world. I mean, he stayed in the military, but they didn't know about PTSD and all the stuff that went with it. And he suffered greatly from it. As I look back on it now, it's pretty obvious, but, then, what the hell's wrong with that? Yeah, why does he wake up in the middle of the night screaming? Yeah. Now you look back on it and go, yeah, if he would have had what's available now to a lot of the guys, and there's still not enough available, maybe things would have been different. Because, he kind of became a recluse. That's why I went to Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely different, man, for sure.
It is. Definitely. And it needs to keep on improving. We definitely need to do a hell of a lot more for our vets. Hell of a lot more. So,
yeah.
So I'm a firm advocate for that.
Nobody put a gun to any of our heads and said, you must do this. So,
well, that's what makes it even more impressive. Nobody had to.
Yeah, but you got to take a little bit of that. That was also my decision. I didn't. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you're wrong. What you're somebody in your dad's time, there were dudes that were literally said, if you don't go do this, you're going to go to jail. Literally, you're going to go to jail, man.
Well, my father, he volunteered for everything.
But I mean, but you think about that though, man. Think about it. Like, I was in an organization. First of all, it's a small organization as in the whole of DOD, but everybody that was there, at least to some extent, was there voluntarily. Mm-hmm. Now, doesn't mean that all of them were superb performers. By far, that's not true. But at least I wasn't in an organization where 40 or 35 to 40% of them were plucked from the streets and told, if you don't go, and we're just going to put you in jail.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be there, man.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine having to work with people who just absolutely don't want to be there, even though you're paying them?
Yeah, some days I have to deal with that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But oh man, he went in, he did his 3, got out and re-upped. And then went over, he was actually in the 5th Special Forces, but then the only thing he didn't volunteer for that he was actually volunteered for was MACV SOG. Of course, it was SOG. Nobody knew what the hell it was. He said, I didn't know what it was. Lo and behold, if I knew what it was, I would have done it. But yeah, they were the badasses. Yeah, nobody knows what it was. It's still kind of one of those mystery things, but let's just say they were the baddest of the baddest back in the day.
For people that don't, go read some of those stories.
There's a book. There's pretty much a chapter that's dedicated to my father. He was RT Dakota, and this gentleman actually wrote a series of books about SOG.
Yeah, let me see which one I've read. I've read a few of them about it. Let me see if I've read this. I wouldn't have obviously would have known it was about your father.
Well, it's on my Facebook page.
Let's see.
Somewhere on there.
I'm trying to remember.
I'm gonna find it here. It was a while ago, but yeah, it's on there, and I actually got the book out there, and I did get a quick copy of the book. But yeah, he wrote multiple series about the different RT teams.
We're gonna come on here and complain about musicians doing dead air, and here we go doing some.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a story for another time.
Yeah, man. Well,
We've
I mean,
actually,
those are some interesting stories. I mean,
oh my God,
really.
some of the stories, when Dad would talk, which it was usually about 20 minutes increments, and then he'd stop. But just, some of the stuff he talked about, it's like, oh my God, if the kids
Yeah.
now,
Here's the one that I read. It's called Pucker Factor.
yeah,
It's
that
like
wasn't
a
it.
3-part series. That's the one that I remember.
Yeah, it was basically about the clandestine units in the military. Like I said, he wrote a series on MACV-SOG, and basically each book was dedicated to different RT teams. Like I said, Dad was RT Dakota, and SOG teams are very small spike forces. It was
Hmm.
usually 2 to 3 Americans, and then it was typically filled out by Montagnards. And yeah, they were every place we weren't. Every place we weren't supposed to be, that's where they were. He was
Yeah,
captured in Laos, so what's that tell you?
yeah. There's a lot going on, man.
Oh yeah, like I said, Air
There's a lot.
America. I mean, basically, I can tell everybody if you want to know what SOG was, it basically morphed into Delta Force. I mean, to kind of give an idea, because once they started finding out what SOG, first they found out what SOG was, and they just changed the name. They were trying to keep it hush hush, but nobody knew what the hell SOG. They had their own base. Nobody knew what they were. It's like we got away with everything. Of course, then again, the missions they went on were the mortality rate was near 100%.
Yeah, and certainly
Yeah. Steve.
not
Yeah, Steve popped up. I'll have to get
relentless.
that book's out there. I don't want to get up and go get it, but I just forgot. Brain fart, forgot it. But yeah, it was on my Facebook page. I actually had some inserts when he was talking about Dad. And like I said, so I have a very, very strong feeling towards military and first responders. Like I said, I respect all the guys. I tip my hat to every damn one of them. And I don't care if you served during wartime or not, you still served. Some guys say, well, I didn't serve during wartime, but you still served. And you weren't drafted because we haven't had the draft in place since the 70s. So one way or another, you went in of your own accord, or in some cases, you went in to keep your ass out of jail, but still.
Yeah, I mean, mine was still voluntary, but yeah, it was one or the other.
Yeah. But you know what? Look where you are now. Just think had you
Yeah.
not gone in.
Well, like I said, I was going to do it anyway. I just needed a nudge.
Yeah, you got a nudge
I
on
was
it.
just kind of floundering about
It's
being.
either that or handcuffs or bracelets.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think the military is a good way to go for a lot of people. It's a good option. Not everybody can go to college. Not everybody has that going for them, so there's always that aspect of it.
Yeah.
You're always going to get an education in the military. One way or another, you're going to be educated. And you're going to come out with some useful skills. I mean, that might not be useless in everyday life, but you're going to have some skills.
Yeah, you do learn. You do learn a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
you learn
there's-
respect.
I mean, just to travel alone, you're going to learn.
Yeah. Well,
beyond
it's the respect
years.
factor. I think that's one thing we've really gotten away from. I mean, kids nowadays, I hate to say it, I don't mean to make a blanket statement, but respect's a thing of the past. It's gone.
But you know what, man? When I hear people say that, in particular people that have kids, right?
Mhm.
Like, every generation's like, oh, the fun generation before.
That's
This
true.
generation soft. This generation soft.
Yeah.
Well, who produced that generation?
Right.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's kind of like I'm going to complain about how soft the generation after me is. Why would I do that? I created it. Like,
Well,
it's
a
my
lot of it's
fault.
society. It's society. We've made
Yeah,
life easier.
You know what I mean? My portion of it's
Yeah.
not going to be weak. My portion of it's not going to be incompetent or
Right.
not respectful. So I'm just saying, a generation that complains about another.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I got to get out of that. Yeah, get off my lawn phase.
No, I'm not saying that. You still need to be a
But I
grumpy old man. So get the fuck off my lawn. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, and here, there's also a lot to, some of the younger, especially during the later part of my career in the Marine Corps, man. Like some of the younger guys that were coming in, they are sharp if you put them in the right spot.
Right.
Like the issue is the generation that kind of we come from, we were sharp and tough, pretty tough.
Yeah, exactly.
But these guys that were coming in, they were still tough.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't as tough, but they were a lot smarter, man. They're
Oh yeah.
smart.
I mean,
And
they've
so,
got the dexterity that's amazing. You know, they can sit
yeah,
there and I can't
if
play
you
a video
put them
game to
in the
save my
right
ass.
spot. So it's almost like, if you think about it, at least what I observed is they were making up for that little bit of, that little bit of weakness for being a little bit smarter, a little bit faster.
Mhm. Well,
So
the military has changed. I mean, the
it
military has
has.
become high tech. You
It
know,
is. It's still living in the past too,
yeah.
even today.
Mhm.
It's there's no reason that it. Well, we're going to get off on all kinds of tangents,
I know
man.
we can go on for a couple hours on
Yeah.
this.
I mean, obviously could talk about that forever.
Yeah.
I literally went from a private and then went through, made it to E7, which is a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps, and then it's called that in the Marine Corps, different in the Army. But
Mhm.
and then I did a commissioning program and spent the remaining years as an officer. And so I didn't retire as a field grade officer because I only made it to captain. But that sort of, it's kind of an unusual role, really, for a career. A lot of it's you're either an officer or you're enlisted, and you go,
Right.
you kind of stay on these tracks or
Mhm.
whatever. Maybe a few bump over to one officer, and there's that little in between thing or whatever. But and then I finished up, at a COCOM, at CENTCOM, basically. I mean, I worked for a couple of different components within CENTCOM, but so to be, at that level of command, you really see a lot of different things.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we'll end with this one, man. It's a funny story. I remember the first time I was in the COC over here at CENTCOM, and it was our 3 and our general, and so the ops guy, and they were all talking about movements and trying to come up with a decision for this, decision for that, and they're just they're not being real decisive about it, and so they made a couple calls and issued a few orders, and then they stopped, and about, I don't know, 2-3 minutes later, they kind of changed their mind a little bit and then want to do something else or whatever. And I went, I just couldn't. I was just one of those people, man. Like, I couldn't help it because when you've been in for 18 years and now you're a captain, people you look older than a normal captain, so people kind of know. Okay, yeah, this guy don't give a fuck about what he's just going to say what he's going to say, and I just looked and I went, oh, I get it now. Now I know why I had to move me, my pack, and my guys from here to there, to there, to there, to there. Do you guys realize that you just issuing one meant I had to move 8 times as a result of that? And I'm like, oh man. So to see it from like literally that entire perspective is, it's just kind of a different, I mean, it is what it is, but
Well, and you have a unique perspective that a lot of guys don't have.
yeah, that's what I mean. It's sort of a unique perspective, not because I'm unique in seeing it,
No,
just
because the path that you went through to get to where you were. Yeah, you've seen it all. I mean, all the way from being the lowest grunt there is up to an officer, and seeing the journey through there. It's like, yeah, now I get it. All right, my friend. Well, tell you what.
Well, once again, thank you to everyone who comes to Bottle House, and we're going to keep chugging along to try to bring even more great things to people.
Absolutely. And as I always say, come early, stay late. You want to get a seat, come early. You want to see everything happen, stay late.
Yeah.
I need some company.
Reserve a seat. Have your ass in it.
Yeah, exactly. I need the company there towards the end of the night. Come on, stick around.
Yeah, man. Yeah, sit by Dwayne.
Well, let's not get carried away now. Everybody says I'm grumpy when I'm in there. I'm not grumpy. I'm working. Like, I'm buried either in the computer or I'm doing other stuff. Actually, I tell everybody, come over and say hi. And just stop by and say hi. Yeah, I'd like to meet everybody that comes in there.
Everything you do, man, too, and
absolutely,
putting this together. Hopefully, we can get some more musicians on here and get some more.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Get some more energy behind that. Anytime we can promote what they're doing, that's not. It's gonna be just good for everybody.
Well, I can tell the guys, I'm doing this for them. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for you guys. Yeah.
No,
Come on,
anybody
promote yourself.
that's out there, remember too, anybody that comes to see a band at Bottle House, you got some event you want to put on, approach them. Approach
Absolutely. Yeah.
Dwayne, let them know. We'll get you in contact with them.
Yeah.
If you want, if for like a private gig or something, we've done that a lot in the
Yeah.
past where people have asked, "Hey, can I get?" So we'll hook that up for people if.
I had that happen recently. Somebody's getting married and they contacted me. Hey, we're looking for a band.
Exactly.
We'll put them in contact with a few of them. Yeah, we'll definitely share the wealth.
Sure, man.
Well, it helps them out too.
Yep.
Keeps the bands, keeps them getting gigs. Yeah, like I said, if they run out of places to play, then we don't have any bands left. So, hopefully it stays the way it is and gets better in the future. Yeah, and I think there's always going to be.
It'll be there.
There's always going to be, live music is always going to be. It's not going to go away. No. It's just we have to figure out how to make it work with the way the economy and everything else is changing.
Yeah.
We just have to figure out how to make everything work together, and we will.
And if there's anybody that can do it, it's us. We'll figure it out.
Absolutely. We're not complete idiots. I mean, you're not. I mean, some people might consider me one. But. All right. So, hey, tell you what, it was a pleasure. I enjoyed talking to you. This is officially the longest show that I've done.
Wow.
And for the people that stuck around, man, really appreciate it. You hung in there for a long time. So I got to give me kudos to them. So, yeah.
There's no way I would have guessed that it went this long, man.
We were talking earlier. I said, an hour and a half. But, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, there's a lot of things that. I don't know, man.
I think I might be out. I might be out of things to talk about.
Yeah, well, really, for this time.
You extracted my word count for tomorrow too.
Yeah, I got to forget other stuff so I can remember what the hell we talked about now.
Yeah, man.
All right, sir. Again, it was a pleasure. I really appreciate it. We worked at this for a while to try to make it work out because you're a busy man. I'm glad we were able to finally make it happen. All right, so I'm going to drop you out here and do a little final goodbye here, and I will touch base with you soon. Adios.
Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks, man.
You bet. Well, there you go. You got it. Again, to everybody stuck with me through this thing, really appreciate it. Russ and I have been trying to put this together for probably close to a month. But he's a busy guy. I'm a busy guy. We're both busy. So I'm glad we were able to finally get Russ on here to kind of, talk about the Bottle House. And like I said, for those of you who don't know him, I mean, he's the reason that we have the Bottle House. He is the Patriarch. He keeps it going every weekend. He might not take much credit for it, but without him, wouldn't have a place to go on the weekends. Appreciate everything he's done. I appreciate everything I appreciate you guys, coming, supporting the Bottle House, supporting live music. I mean, that's a big key. And I think every musician out there is going to say the same thing. And all I can say is keep it going. As long as you guys keep coming, we'll keep bringing them in. On that note, and again, real quick, this weekend, don't forget at the Bottle House, Friday night, we have Blackwater Jack, phenomenal band. You're going to love them. And then Saturday, we have the return of 30 White Boys. They're always entertaining. On that note, I'm going to switch some stuff around here. Let me find what I need here. We're going to call it a night. Appreciate it, guys. We'll talk to you next time. Adios.